the Rift altogether like crazy. I just hope I see something else from them. They have picked, however, if I'm not wrong, and Nico that have gone really well for them.
Yeah, I think in general the Las Divinas team is going to be pretty big. Their drafts are always complementing them, and it's not just the meta. I think when it comes to Delicate, we will see a lot of peaks that are different each time, and I really hope this time she can perform her best with an aggressive jungler.
Either way, Las Divinas have come pretty close to a win against one of the strongest teams in all the EEC. So they indeed played against the Vitality Rising Bees, and they almost won that match. They were so close to the Nexus until they weren't. So Crowmac managed an amazing win against them, backdooring their Nexus. However, that really costed them for their mental, and the next game wasn't that close. It was a big stomp. We just hope that their mental hasn't really changed and it does remain the same. They do have a strong mentality and go for that win because we do want to see it. WL Gaming, I think you have more info on that, Kiyomi, but I think that they should change, and I hope that they did indeed change some things about their mentality and picks as well. So we can go to the rosters as well with our wonderful lady on the picks. So we have Gertrude the Pony.
She's truly a diva.
So we have Gertrude the Pony for top, Wessie on jungle, Laylee on mid, Mirai on ADC, and Charlotte for their support. And
My
I
girls.
want to ask you, except that they're your girls indeed, and we have you tattletaling on us for all the insights from WL Gaming. Is there anybody you could say just outperform the others?
Between the girls, I think I've been with Charlotte and Laylee from the start, Wasi as well. And when it comes to Laylee, just her attitude in the game is always positive, the same as Laura and Gertrude. It really doesn't bother them losing or getting stomped, doesn't matter. When the game changes, it's a whole new game and they're ready to get it from your hands. So they better be careful. We are not quitters and they can see that.
Indeed. Laylee, I have met in person. She's a really sweet, I don't want to say kid, she's a really sweet girl. But and does reflect on the game as well. They do have a really strong early game, but they do lack on late game, and I hope they have been working on that, at least in the mid game. So let's say we can battle Las Divinas at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna defend Las Divinas because here in Spain we know Dragon, and she's one tough woman that has been here for so long, trying her best, and I really need for her to have a win. She needs to show the world that she's capable of it, and the other ones we have seen Panda last year with the team that they made. That then they became BDS Valkyries, and as you have said, Delicate. And yeah, I really feel that Las Divinas deserve that win. And yeah, I'm gonna go with them. I'm really sorry with my co-host, co-star Kiyomi, but yeah, I'm gonna be her counterpart.
Yeah, I do indeed.
Been there from the start.
Yeah, I do indeed, however, agree with you, Husky, because they have been like hard contesting Vitalities, which have only had one loss for the entire ECC. They have played like amazingly, and they don't lack any skill from the top teams. That's what I think. I think they lack some late game knowledge or something like that. But we did see Corky from Stratos Panda, which was amazing, and got an ace from Mel as well, which I don't know. It was great performance after great performance. But after that, it didn't actually work in the great scheme of things. And I think they can really be better on that. but we will see eventually our first bans in a few seconds. Kyung, let's start with you. What do you think will be an early game? Do you think it will be an early game draft, or do you think it will be more on the late game side?
I think when it comes to Wuluju, they will for sure try to get something that will get Laylee ahead on lane. I think she signs a lot on picks like Akali. So I hope I see that once again. Maybe Icebreaker just completely ignores that. I think when it comes to Wuluju, they should try to get on the early game, and then later on, macro-wise, they're lacking. They're not a team for that long. Last Venus are for sure more experienced, so we should go for an early game draft.
I think that's where you sign, actually. And we see the first ban. It is indeed Talia. Las Divinas are really thinking on that. I think they should ban Laylee's Ahri because she's really good on that. See, it is indeed her comfort pick, and we see a pattern of going with comfort picks more or less.
Yeah, here we have the Tristana, as Kiyomi has said, targeting that bottom line. And yeah, we have a fast Zoe. They know where to like go ahead and make uncomfortable line. We have that mid lane that gonna lack 3 great because Talia
exactly as I
has
said,
been like really great. The Ahri too. And the
Yarvan is out for Delicate.
Nice. We are gonna have some new picks here. I hope so, because the Pantheon was.
There it goes.
Sorry, girls. I load again. The Pantheon last week has been the ban of all the matches, so I'm really glad that they have taken it first.
However, I was spot on once again. I have a disease, and that is not being wrong ever. One Ahri ban has been indeed the issue for that. We have seen the Pantheon for the WL Gaming side. It is a pick to be afraid of. I mean, it can be everywhere at all times. It can deal great damage. I don't know how it will go against the Naafiri. However, I think Naafiri is nerfed out of the game. I don't know if you agree with me, but I don't like seeing her. She should go out of the game eventually. Hector, please do share your knowledge. My Naafiri is agreeing.
The dogs are the best. Go doggies.
There we see Gertrude's Ornn as well, which is really big. I think the girls are going on full comfort, and I love that for them. I really do think that the first game will be on that side.
Yeah,
we do, however, see one weak side top once again, and I don't know what they will pair with the Orianna for Las Divinas side. I was hoping for an ultra wombo combo.
Here you have one that can deliver that Orianna ball. The Ambessa jumping all the middle, and we know that when she enters, she is unkillable. And yeah, I was afraid she wasn't gonna go out. Like, for real, please.
It is the time to see strong side strong side top laners. However, I don't think we will see that for a long time, because it is a meta that has really settled down. I am happy, however, to see the Akali from WL Gaming. I think I haven't seen Laylee in such picks in quite a minute. And I do think that it's gonna go quite well against the Orianna. If it is indeed, no, it is indeed. It doesn't go anywhere else. if you actually think about it.
I mean, we saw Akali on Laylee versus G2 and she solo killed Dream 2 times as well. We got all the clips on that. I think she has a lot to show on things like this. And we see the Rakan out for Charlotte as well.
Will they go for another tank though?
What? Sorry?
Will they go for another tank though for the bot lane from WL Gaming, I mean?
I think we could see anything from like a Brom or maybe a Nautilus. I don't think we'll see the Rel, but anything would be good, honestly. We see the Nami out for Sari.
Yeah, the thing I was gonna say is that the game of Rakan was really good, and I believe that she also played the Braun, and we have seen these lineups in which you have 3 rocks that the other team has to walk through, but the thing is that the Akali wants to jump forward, and that is not something that matches with the idea of having 3 tanks in your team.
However, I find it really scary that they did pick Corki once again. The performance that Stratos Panda had with that Corki was frightening. However, Kiyomi knows her picks, and Brom was indeed picked as last for WL Gaming Female Stars, and we do see like one last pick from Las Divinas. I think it's gonna be something equal to Brom. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna see one more tank. Nautilus would be a nice idea because I think they lack a bit of engage. Oh, Alistar, I like that.
La vaca. Moo! Let's go! I really love this. Like, thank you, Mario Kart, for giving us the meme of having a cow in every game we have. And League of Legends wasn't gonna live aside from this meme. And here we have Alistar. Thank you.
But it was indeed a good last pick. However, I do find Las Divinas roster, I don't mean roster, I mean draft altogether, a bit lacking compared to WL Gaming Female Stars one. I have to go with WL Gaming for this one. What about you, Kiyomi?
I would go with my girls, no matter what. But honestly, I really like their draft. They're pretty spot on what I thought they would play. And when it comes to Las Divinas, I really love Stratos Panda playing Corki. I love watching her on these peaks, although I do miss her Jinx a bit. I think the Orianna Ball has a lot of places to go on, even on Delicate or Fang. Everywhere is going to be a good combo.
And Husky, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I believe that WLG is gonna have one mission, and is to protect the president. Mirai is her president, and she has that Cosmao that can be deadly for the lines of Las Divinas, but they have a lot of the Nafiri that jumps towards you, same does the Ambessa, and they are gonna have like a hard job to make that Cosmao go to the late game and be the destroyer that it is.
Indeed. And after those thoughts, we're going to have to leave you with our fantastic casters to enjoy the game. See you in a bit.
Alrighty, everybody, we are in the dark. It sounds like Nocturne has ulted right now, so it should be on cooldown at least for the moment. And we are getting into the first game of the day 4 of Equal Esports Cup of this group stage. I'm Sofjan, and with me is Rev. How you doing, Rev? Are you looking for a candle in a match, maybe?
I mean, I right now, I don't know. I'm trying to turn on the light. It doesn't work. Maybe it's the heat right now that has hit that. At least in the dark, it may be a little bit cooler. But this game is supposed to be very, very hot. And if not anything else, it's because one of those teams will pick up their first victory. Both of them came in with some expectations, some bigger than the other. Especially when I say Las Divinas, because of course WL Gaming Female Stars is quite a new team, so they have to establish themselves. But on the other hand, Las Divinas have a lot of established names, but none of them has succeeded so far. And you see time and time again them doing a lot of good things, reaching the fountain, not drinking a drop of water, and that's must be frustrating. So one of them, at least, will get that, that little bit of salvation today.
Yeah, we might see a 1-1 record. We might see a 2-0 record for either of these teams. Personally, for this first game, I really, really like Las Divinas. And their composition feels to me a little more cohesive. Getting into the Summoner's Rift, we are just spamming out some emotes and spamming some dances as well. But nothing really to count out here for any of those 4-member rotations, early game invades. We're just being a little bit careful. And I appreciate that. Like you said, both teams on 0-6 record, they don't want to overstep.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to start on the wrong foot right now. You don't want to feel like you're trying to climb the mountain from minute one. Even if you're playing with Pantheon, you don't want to always go lore accurate. I'm also quite a fan of this Las Divinas draft, but I have to mention that WL Gaming kind of has everything, right? Because you have some early skirmishing power, you're not abandoning all lanes. Lately, from level 6 onward with Herakali, we all know how unfair this champion can be. You hit 3 spells, the enemy's instant one-shot. Pantheon as well, some very good skirmishing with the Brome. Have proved that they have struggles in finding ways to close out games. And in that case, WL Gaming will have a lot of avenues in climbing back in this game.
Super valid, Rav. And to be honest, I feel like in this case, although I do enjoy Las Divinas and their roster, actually, in their composition for this game one, WL Gaming feels a little more confident here on the spot side, as we can see right now. And it's really funny, actually, to see how much of a pressure a Kog'Maw can do in lane against that. But we also know that, especially because Wasi is on a Pantheon, we might see some of those rotations coming in earlier from that enemy jungler.
Yeah, especially after we've seen so many games in the MSI, we understood like that the game is a little bit different that we're used to. So instead of full clearing, trying to gank once, full clearing twice, and then the game starts, you know, when the Drake starts spawning and suddenly you have some neutral objectives and then you just aimlessly wander from one neutral objective to the other. The game's a little bit different now. It's a little bit more active. You're looking for more and more avenues. And that's why picks like the Pantheon have been picked so much and have shown so much success. I will be looking at Vasi and I want to see less autopiloting and more activity on the map. Especially you're playing into some picks that will get stronger into the mid game. I'm looking at an Afiri, I'm looking at an Orianna, the Corki. So why won't you strike before they activate, before they go online?
Definitely, and you kind of need to do it because the wombo combo potential you mentioned from Las Divinas is just pretty huge. We have that rotation coming from both junglers from top to bottom, but bot side is getting active here. There's a concussive blows going on to Sadi, but they're taking some damage back as well. Charlotte has to go for the W there on Mirai to get that extra defense, and both ADCs on 50% HP. And no, actually, the ADC from Las Divinas on 50%, but the support for WL Gaming on 50%.
Yeah, the support way harder to put down, especially with the unbreakable wall. But now maybe Laylee's in trouble.
Yeah, it looks like so. They're going out for the Shroud here, going back in, very bold, just because Wasi is there. They felt comfortable enough to do that. Now Delicate is going to go for the Scuttle Crab, trying to deny that from Wasi, laying out that ward as well. We'll see if there's going to be a contest. Fengderi is also around to get some vision here with the Zerance Bloom, and it's not going to be contested by the side of WL Gaming. In the mid lane, Dragon just doing as much pressure as possible, being that ranged versus melee matchup.
Yeah, the CS might look a little bit in favor of Laylee, but the wave state doesn't really favor her. Of course, she'll have that easy reset right now and doesn't need to really spend that teleport. But no pots means she can stay, try to pressure any advantage. She has to reset, has to then go back into the wave. On the other side, Dragon running low on the mana, but should have enough to just shove one more wave under the enemy tower and then go back, have a more favorable buy. Of course, Orianna might need to go for
Is
tier.
this 1v1 looking good for Gertrude, Rev? Oh, flash forward, double flash.
Ooh.
Okay,
Oh my
Fengderi
God.
will survive, but no flash available for either of them. It's going to be forcing out Fengderi to stay for this lane, and that reset with TP is going to be much more favorable to WLG, as it's going to be slowly pushing towards that side.
I was ready to whip out the Orn copy pasta, but not yet. Both flashes are down. Of course, Orn kind of hard to gang because he's tanky as heck, but on the other side, Tambesa, she really likes to jump all the way around, so
Oh.
also quite hard to deal with her. Did you saw
Rev, I
something?
just spotted here. Yeah, we don't see the TP coming from Gertrude because the wave was slowly pushing towards them. They decided to just walk the lane. And I feel like that's a great call, considering that you can take that TP and advantage to go to the
Oh.
bot side. Speaking of, Wasi going on a 3v1 here, Valkyrie away, but it's still going to get stunned. Some damage is layered on them, but it's not going to be enough. Now, Delicate is on the Drake with Sadi. So at least having that Stratospender is going to survive. They are going to be okay to take this one uncontested as well for Las Divinas.
Yeah, they played it a little bit greedily. Stratos Panda had no cover. If you look, there's almost no ward over there. I think there was like one red ward and it was spotted a little bit too late. So Stratos Panda very, very lucky to not need to spend any summers at all in this gank attempt. Wasi spends a little bit more time. Not a lot to do on the map. As well as you see, her top side camps are just respawning. So she had some free time. Oh my goodness. They're all 1 HP always.
Yeah, it's like we switched the camera, Rev, and we're literally almost going to the gray screen, but it's not going to be the case. And as you said, we have quite a lot of pressure coming in the mid lane, forcing out a TP here from Laylee to go back as a Kali. But I think that positioning from Stratospanda was warranted in the bot lane because they did have 3 wards and then they expired. So they kind of calculated there wasn't enough time for them to have run there while the wards had just expired. So maybe it was a calculated risk. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're better players than me, so I can't say that I know everything. Just watching from the God view, trying to understand what they're thinking. But, you know, it's always different. Sometimes it's very calculated. Sometimes it's in the midst of stress. And once again, I want to bring up the same topic. And I know I might sound repetitive, but you don't really end the group stage on 0 wins, right? There are players here. Dragon has been fighting relentlessly to get that first sweet victory, that first W. And she's been having some great performances as well. Some great laning phases, some excellent team fights. But it has been to no avail so far. So you know that they're trying so hard. And sometimes when you have all that anxiety, all that adrenaline pumping through your veins, you don't really think straight. You're just playing with pure instinct.
It's true. Sometimes that's just what it takes to get that first sweet victory. Now, Feng Dere with 4 members here of Las Divinas getting the positioning here for the Void Grubs, although there is vision from a Scuttle Crab to the side of WL Gaming. So Wasi trying to get into position themselves, going into the bush. Now they're going to get engaged upon. It's Charlotte who takes the damage. Is going to get taken down themselves. First blood going to Feng Dere. And now chasing out that Wasi onto Stratospanda. It's also not going to be successful there. And it's the side of Las Divinas that come out on top. They're going to initiate the Void Grubs, but Gertrude is there with Wasi. Maybe going to try to defeat and take someone down to potentially steal that Void Grub, but I don't think they're in great position, although we have backup coming out by Mirai. Maybe this is the point where they can engage. Dragon is there, so it's 4v3. Still looking pretty good for Las Divinas. They are just stalling time for that Void Grub, and now into the On Horn as well. They miss it! It's not activated, so they are going to... Wait, interestingly enough, they still take somebody down. Now with the Akali in, this could be the final moment to go win the final strike. Oh, they get stunned instead, and now the Corki will have the Phosphorus Bomb dealing as much damage as necessary, being pumped. 1-2, 1-2, but it's the side of WLG who comes out on top.
And they get the claim of warfare as well as they collect the final Void Grab. They did understand that they had the upper hand, even if they didn't have the numbers advantage, just because all of their ultimates were up. Whereas Dragon, Delicate, Feng Dere, they've already used their Nesari. Didn't have her, so that Alistar was just the prime piece of Wagyu A5 beef, ripe for the eating. They're getting all those 3 kills, so much gold in their pocket, and suddenly they were with their backs against the wall, but the gold now is equalized. Only the objective game is a losing one.
I would take that medium rare on that cow for sure. That's what I like any day of the week. And interestingly enough, like you were saying, it was a little bit equalized, but it was funny how WLG still came out on top considering that Owen Horn wasn't really second activated there to get the knock-up. There was some good stuns coming out by Sadi with that headbutt and pulverize, but it still didn't make that much of a difference. Yeah. Laylee pumped out some damage, but Mid-Eye, I think, was definitely helping quite a bit there with 3 assists on that pocket. And the final last hits as well to Wasi, 3-0, having that already completed first item, looking to get that Tabbies next.
I mean, I think it's just plain champion design, right? When you're playing the game at the very basic level, what do you like to have? You like to have as much crowd control as possible, right? When the enemy can't control their champions, you have an inherent advantage over there. And Las Divinas, as a team, they don't really play with that. I've watched a lot of their draft, and they usually have one person that can provide some crowd control, Zachary, and then there's some very, very conditional ones. Like Fengdere right now has the public execution, but we saw it in the previous fight. In the initial one, she couldn't hit onto Mirai. Mirai flashed away, and then that's done. But here, Gertrude has the crowd control, forces the flash immediately. If the flash wasn't there, Wasi could follow up with a W. There's so many more tools to make WL Gaming's life easier than Las Divinas' life.
It's true. But like you said, having to use that flash there is definitely good for WLG. Now, Fengdere is going to be much more exposed to a gank coming out by Wasi, already so strong on the Pantheon. Meanwhile, Las Divinas will take that second Dragon of the game. So like you mentioned, they are both on top of those Drakes and the Void Grubs as well.
Yeah, so that's the fate of objectives, and now the first tower will be the one that decides who will get the free little cheeky upgrade on the boots. And I want to say, I wasn't too much on board with the boots upgrade last split. You know, the first couple of weeks, everyone were losing their minds all over it, but afterwards they realized it's nothing too great. It's nice to have, not worth dying over. Now I feel that this season they've gotten better, so sometimes it's worth doing that, and it's worth maybe sacrificing something on the top side, maybe a Rift Herald, to overload the bot side, get that first tower, and suddenly you have better Lucidity boots, you have better Swifties boots, and now the Swifties also give you adaptive health. All of that starts to matter more and more, and if then we reach a mid-game point where the gold is as close as it is now, every little detail, every little extra stat will matter so much.
For sure. And to be fair, I feel like WLG, because of that advantage in objectives that Las Divinas have, they are getting into a potential like time bomb, trying to understand how they can pinch it out on Las Divinas, because in the mid lane, a little difficult. Orianna, very safe. Speaking of, going here with Sadi headbutt pulverize, and there's the shockwave that gets dodged. Well done by Lily there to get away as well with the ult, and the perfect execution does feel perfect in this case. Now Wasi's there as well with Charlotte, so they maybe would try to retaliate, but they're just gonna go for clearing out the jungle here. Still well executed by Laylee.
Oh, she got out by just a split of her hair. A millisecond later, she'd been pulled back by that shockwave, but no, it didn't matter. Once again, she's playing Undertale. She declines, she persists, she doesn't know how to die. Apart from that one teamfight. Also, she plays the disgusting build. Laylee, please, come on. I've been talking so good about you. Why are you playing the multiple masks?
Double mask. Well.
I hate this
I guess
build.
this is where we are. This is the era we live in, I guess. Plenty of things coming out here for the side of the WL Gaming to the top lane, because they have noticed Delicate is going for a huge dive. But this might be just enough time for Gertrude to come back on a reset. And they are going to focus on the tower, potentially take the first break for themselves. And that Feats of Warfare you have been mentioning too would be pretty great to start escalating even more.
And the question is, why did WL Gaming abandon him? Because I'm not sure if Gertrude could actually beat off their pretty tanky champion. Only AD champions that would threaten her. Look at the build. It's full armor. She must have like 130 armor at this point. So why are you abandoning it? Can you actually do something? Do you have a critical item spike to buy and use in the upcoming, what I expect to be Rift Herald fight? Otherwise, you're just giving up free candies, and LDs, they have that sweet tooth.
They do. We're definitely hungry today. We're going for Wagyu. We're going for candy and treats.
Yeah.
WL Gaming is looking for a Rift Herald themselves, so a little bit more on the Void side of things, but it's going to be contested by Las Divinas. They still have the numbers advantage on the side of WLG, as they are on a 5-member. But there's a flank up gun from Perfect Dairy as well, but there's a Glacial Fissure stopping out Las Divinas on their track, still trying to get something more. Delicate's on the front line, dealing pretty well. Now with the Horn, could potentially get a huge knockup, and they do. Now WLG, 3 kills, another shutdown, and Lele is on a rampage, getting so much blood out of this team fight, and LD only with 2 members surviving and no kills to their advantage.
Oh my god, this looked like the average T1 at international fight. Everything was going horrible until they won, until they completely smashed LD Lele with 2 kills in her pocket right now. So much gold, the mask already completed. As soon as she resets, the Rift Herald as well goes in favor of WLG female stars. And they must be feeling so happy, because even with a comp that has a couple of late game insurances, because that Akali build is a late game insurance as well, you are currently smashing teamfights.
Doing so well, and sometimes not even requiring the Horn to actually set it up, because the damages are raining all the time. Coming from Mirai, coming from Lele, Wasi as well, so strong that this Pantheon is. And because they got the Rift Herald, they go for the reset, empowered even, to come back for the Drake and start it themselves. Now Delicate doesn't look really phased and is just going to decide the Las Divinas will not contest this one and will just give this first Drake for the side of WLG. So they are still going to be 1 Drake in front.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very wise choice. You don't need to start doing any knee-jerk movements right now. You're lacking a couple of critical summoners like Stratos Panda and Dragon are missing their flash. Feng there is on the top side with no teleport. You're missing most of your ultimates, as Dragon just went off cooldown, and Delicate's Call of the Pack will be there soon. So there was no reason for you to just give out more and more resources. It's just the first Drake. My question is, if you're LD right now, and I will ignore the stress factor this time around, how do you zoom out in this game? What's your next plan? Because I'm looking, I really love to have some 2-item spikes, but simultaneously, I wouldn't love to have them together with WLG's 2-item spikes.
Yeah, that would be really difficult for Las Divinas for sure. But there's one thing they have been able to do so far is controlling the side lanes pretty well, Rev. That's why they're still staying afloat on the gold, and they are 1 Drake ahead, but WLG is winning on those team fights 6 kills to 2, which also makes a huge difference. And like you said, just scaling towards that 2-item power spike. And we know, although Mirai is not getting the kills, they are definitely contributing to the amount of damage that WLG Gaming is doing in these team fights.
Yeah, for sure. They're already 1 item strong, as soon as they complete the 2-3 item spikes. I think it's also a Ronan's Hurricane game for the Kog'Maw, and it's always so nice when they can build that item, because you can spread that W passive all over the enemy team, all over the enemy front line, and there's 3 melees, 3.5 even. I would consider Corki half a melee champion at this point in the game. It's a mid-range assassin, so it must feel so nice if you're able to perma right-click on the enemy team. And I don't see a reason why they wouldn't be able to. They have a Braum, they have a Pantheon, they have an Ornn. You don't need all of those tools to just run straight into the enemy team phase. You just need 2 of them to stay close to your Kog'Maw, Make sure that she feels no threat. She can just right-click forwards, and then you can just win.
Oh, are we going to see a win here for the side of WLG? There's quite a lot of resources. The same going out for Las Divinas here on the bot side. The Shockwave is still available. Lele will be on the Shroud. Perfect execution away, dashing out. But there's the ult from Delicate. Flashed over the wall by Lele. Still trying to chase it Las Divinas. But they are, able to slow her down.
No
Lele
way!
so close, but she doesn't die.
how does she does this again? And she creates so much time. A losing play for WLG because they committed so many resources as well on the top side is suddenly turning into a winning one. Maybe you don't secure that mid lane turret, but you make it so low that one good push will give it to you. You win out so much on the mid lane, on the top lane, and suddenly, like, what did Laylee spend? She spent a flash over 2 ultimates, I think, maybe a flash as well. She's built different.
She is. The Akali is just really shining through in this game. And honestly, like you said, turning out that losing push into a great push in the mid lane, just so well done. And all on the back of Laylee alone. It's just crazy how much this Akali's been doing for that squad. And maybe that's just how they're going to be getting into that first win of the tournament. We know that with Atakan spawning on the top side, there is another objective that they want to secure. Although, very important for LD that they keep on stacking on those drakes, especially that Ocean Soul would be so useful for Fengderi too.
Yeah, I mean, they really want to stack all those drakes, but all of the drakes are so disconnected with any other neutral objectives. There's no, oh my god, we can trade Rift Herald with the Drake or the second tree of grabs with the Drake. No, you go for something, then you have the time to reset, set up another play and play once again. They have no way of just running away from the WL Gaming's team fight, and it shows now. Stratos Panda will have to reset and they lose control of the area, and Atakan is already there. So at any point, if they don't check a little bit with their faces, with some of their abilities, there is a very, very significant threat that WLG is already set up there. They have started the Atakan, and if they see you, they can turn with some quite long-range engage, like the call of the call of the Force Good.
For sure. And at this point, they're setting up vision here on the bot side, getting at least some for the Drake spawning in 1 minute, 45 seconds at this point. And with the Atakan on the other side, like you mentioned, everything is just very disconnected and not really going to be that easy of a read. But I believe that WLG has been set up pretty well for those counterattacks. Now, looking a little more straightforward for Las Divinas as they're going here for the bot side, maybe trying to get a Kali again, but I would say priority goes to that tier 1 turret.
Yeah. We'll see if they manage to secure all that standing gold. It will be so important for them to get that sudden influx because, yeah, they've been winning the team fights. They've been controlling them up a little bit more, but gold-wise, they're still there, still stuck even. That's not very quick blitz, Kog'Maw. Have they been gone from the game for so long?
Yeah, but it's on, and it's in right now. Summoner's Rift for the first game of day 4 of Equal Esports Cup group stage, with Las Divinas getting this Drake started. Delicate swiftly decides to stop that push, maybe still not resetting the Drake themselves. Wasi is on 50% HP, so that is definitely a good position for Las Divinas to try and secure this one. Fengderi also isolating Laylee with that blast going over the wall, feeling really comfortable, but now WLG has to try and push back here. Laylee gets some damage taken there by the W on Dragon. Call of the God of the Forge God. Trying to get it, but they don't get the knock-up either. But there's the Pantheon going to the backline onto Dragon. Now the support side, he goes down, pushing out, but it's 3v1 against Wasi. Aha! They're still standing, but they're not for longer. They are going to get taken down. And LD will at least trade this 1-for-1. Are they looking for more? Going on to Charlotte. That's the Unbreakable. And that soaks up quite a lot of the push. Stratos Panda getting really chunked down by those ultimate shots from Mirai, and they have to disengage.
But how good is Dragon? We were all looking at the team fight. Yeah, it was very scrappy back and forth, but the only reason they had complete control over the pit is that Dragon were standing there menacingly, showing all those JoJo, menacing emojis, whatever, with the ball at the choke point every time. Wasi tries to walk in, gets chunked. Laylee tries to walk in, gets chunked. The front lane tries to walk in, they get slowed. She created so much space. She and Shari, with all of that crowd control, even the cow sacrificing herself over there just to make sure that the call of the Forge God once again will not get answered. It will go straight into the voicemail. It was so good for them to secure that soul point, because right now, even if they don't secure the soul in 5 minutes time, they have that huge bruise on WLG's arm that they can pressure and say, hey, you want to be on the other side of the map, but you really, really should be here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and because if we see Las Divinas trading now the Drake for the Baron, well, that's a pretty good trade for Las Divinas, if I do say so myself. Especially because they're trying to push out for that mid-tier 1 that they haven't broken at this point. Neither of the teams have really. So they're still just trying to get their space in. Although we still see that the side of Las Divinas is pushing out the side lanes pretty well. The Atakan getting pinged on the top side. But we're not going to see Las Divinas joining just yet. We still have a TP available for Fengderi that is in the bot side. Wasi still trying to get some vision here onto Sadi, going straight onto the Alistar. Now it's a 3v1. Wasi takes damage, but they're still very, very tanky. Call of the God Forge. They're trying to get the knockup, but they do 3 men. Now Charlotte goes in as well, forcing out a flag from Dragon. Still going to be safe, and it might just be another case of Sari paying for the price. The perfect execution down to the tower. Laylee takes one, but gets taken down herself. Still trying to push and equalize this fight. Fengderi, he's trying to go into Charlotte. They take 2 kills. But now Delicate has to flash away as well. They are going to be safe. A dodge from the Kog'Maw ultimate. And the Nefiri lives.
Oh, that was not Delicate at all. She was very rough with him. Had that dog in her, saving the fight. And it's so, so dangerous because I want to talk about it. Atakan and Baron both standing on the top side of the map. You lose one fight convincingly. Maybe you don't lose any turret, but you lose so many neutrals. And you give so much to the enemy in power balance.
Yes, you do. Oh, canceling out the ultimate there. Now Wasi's going to be on cooldown to V1, 3v1. Making a 4 with a TP as well. Oh, tell me, what's up, what's up?
Yeah, there's no jungler. There's no ultimate. And there's the Atakan immediately, as we said. And now, the moment you take the Atakan, you're still full HP. You have some ultimates coming back up and available. You can start threatening the bar. Maybe you don't have the perfect setup, but you can coerce WLG into an unfavorable fight, and that's what you need to suddenly start gaining a significant goal advantage.
And it looks out pretty good for Las Divinas right now, like you said. The TP on the top side, just making sure that they're going to rip the Atakan as quickly as possible. Like you mentioned too, being on opposite sides of the map with still 1 minute left for the next Drake to spawn. This was just the best position for LD to be in. And taking Wasi down, canceling that ult was just the right way to do it.
Yeah, I think they're finding the angle. She's been looking at them the whole game long now. When the Iron's hot, she found a way to strike. I'm looking at the items, so everyone's at 2 items strong, bar the supports, but who cares about them at this point? They're not the carries. WG already have 2 ornaments in their possession, so let's count, I don't know, 2k more gold in the power balance, so the game's still pretty close. And in 25 seconds time, the Drake spawning in WG have to be there. Can LD fight it? Can they threaten the Baron? What will their choice be?
Well, they definitely went for the vision here on the bot side river. Still trying to push and get that poke in from the Kog'Maw and Mirai. They have the Skittle Crab as well, so it's still going to remain for a good while. Being here on the bush. But it's getting pushed down. Charlotte gets engaged. Call of the God Forge. Go in. Gets another knockup. 3 men as well. And it's just an on against the world. But there's no damage. Shockwave onto Laylee. Just stopping that Carly on the tracks. That Charlotte going so down. But Delicate will not be able to finish her off. And now still trying to maintain some pressure here. Wasi. Laylee goes into 1v5. And Mirai takes 1 kill. Going out to Fengderi. Now is the one isolated. That Ambessa needs to try to escape. Not going to be able to do so. A shutdown going to Mirai herself. As they're still going to have numbers advantage. WLG having the position here, but low on HP. Could be something to be worried about. But no Shockwave for Dragon. Could just be the saving grace at this point.
Gertrude will teleport back. She found a way to actually reset. And there's a very nice flank war. No ultimates, but now it's a 5v3. Las Divinas realize the spot they're in. They abandon their position. Maybe try to push away. Then I'm looking at pings at the Baron. Such a close, such a scrappy fight. Laylee once again finds the way to unlock the impasse.
It's just nuts how Laylee has been utilizing the Shroud so well. She goes in and she's just invisible, and she doesn't, like, nobody hits their abilities, and she just survives and just takes everybody out. It's crazy how well she's doing on this Akali. Now, going for the setup here on the top side for the Baron, like you said, Rev, but it looks like maybe there is a focus on the mid lane. No, Last Venus will still try to get that position on the top, going for some vision around the Baron, but they still got to be careful about WLG.
Actually, having that mid lane tier 1 unlocked for Las Divinas is so crucial at this point, because they can push the wave deeper in, and they can actually ward deeper. That means that WG needs an extra tempo move to try and clear the vision, make sure that they're in fog of war, that they can face check easily, and then they can still go and take a peek at the Baron to make sure that there's nothing sneaky Bicky happening over there. But simultaneously, that gives so much time to Las Divinas to try and find those picks, even onto the enemy support. If you do this a couple more times, Guardian will not be there. It has a huge cooldown. Next time, maybe the Unbreakable won't be there, and suddenly you can chip away damage, you can chip away some of those summoner spells, and you get small incremental advantages that can sum up to something greater.
Exactly, the cooldowns on the Guardian, on the Solaris as well. It's just so much that the Braum can shield. But we're still seeing WLG taking advantage on these fights, and unfortunately Sadi, trying to get good setups, hasn't been able to convert into nothing more than the cow getting to the slaughterhouse. Unfortunately, Las Divinas still not being able to go. Oh, okay, they stopped it on the bot side, so there's not going to be any TPs here for Fengderi. Now still pushing out Las Divinas, trying to stop this one, as WL Gaming has started the Baron, so they are going to disengage. Fengderi goes for the tier 2 push, and will just chunk enough onto Laylee to ward her back to base as well.
Yeah, it's the moment we were looking at the face check on the Baron. She was looking at Laylee resetting, ulted her in, and Laylee had to ult and flash away just to survive. That's huge for Fengderi, because she also collects the 700 gold from the tier 2. Look at her items. She hadn't had the third item completed. Now it's there, the Death Dance plus an extra pickaxe. That's very nice to have. And suddenly, you're way tankier than you were with your ultimate. You have some sustain. You have a lot of cleaving on the enemy armor. That's not a word. I don't care at this point. And you are a threat to the Ornn, to the Pantheon, to the Akali. Who can match Ambessa on a side lane?
Who? I don't think anybody can at this point. And it's something that we have been hammering all the time here in this game 1. Rev, Las Divinas has been just very spot on in controlling side lanes, and Ambessa on Fengderi is the main key for that. Like, they open up mid lane here, tier 1, they have that vision and that control over the enemy jungle, as you have been pointing out. Charlotte will take some damage herself, but Mirai is definitely a loose cannon here. This Kog'Maw is just able to clear out the waves pretty well so far.
Yeah, 2 more wards. I think it's very important right now to even count Charlotte's inventory and those wards. 2 more, then she has to reset. And LD has been very good at spotting where she plays the wards and clearing them as fast as possible. The one that they didn't clear, we see that on the top left side of our screen, it has been spotted. This bush has been warded as well from Las Divinas. So right now, they know, they're counting. The moment they see 0 and they see Charlotte resetting, they can strike. They can even start the Baron, or at least threaten it, and then turn with an ultimate from the Orianna.
We have TPs available for the side of Laylee and Fengderi, both of them going for their bot side clears, so they can reposition. Although some pings are coming out here for this Drake, 30 seconds to go still. It is always a gamble. It is a double-edged sword. If you go for the Drake, you might just lose the Baron. Can you just bait out and pretend like you're on Drake by your own Baron? There is vision from the side of WLG, and it's a detection ward as well, so inside the pit, you're not going to be able to do that much of deceiving.
Yeah, I mean, and my question is, who actually holds the card right now, right? Because is it WG? Can they still win 5v5 team fights convincingly? They have the Ornn, they have the Braum, yada. So that means that they can be the one going into the Drake and maybe even leave in Mirai to do it solo. Oh my god, they got Pantheon.
Okay, another knockup, very nicely done by Gertrude, going into the back line. There's Dragon taking damage herself, but now it's the side of Las Divinas going in with a shockwave too. What a setup! And finally, Las Divinas is finding some success in these team fights. Gertrude will be taken out next. Fengderi with Delicate pushing out too with a flash forward to try and neutralize Laylee. She's still gonna be on Shroud. Going out, trying to take out Dragon. There's the protection, but Wasi goes in straight into that Orianna. Laylee will get taken down though. There's only one person remaining on the side of WLG. It's Wasi. They can't do anything to try to contest this with 4 members of LD standing.
Unfortunately, we had some pre-shadowing over there. You don't need everyone to engage from the side of WLG. Mirai was left alone. Fengdere found the angle. No hard crown control needed when she can just snipe with a public execution. White Panther's there.
Oh, the contest for the smites, they're gonna get shut down immediately. And that's LT with a priority straight Jake and Baron for themselves.
You have to try though. You have to if you're Wasi. You know, if you're losing the Baron right now, there's no summoners on the Mirai, there's no summoners on the Wasi, no summoners on the Gertrude. Yeah, I can talk about this for long enough. But you can't take the Drake. The Drake doesn't really matter right now. The Baron is that tipping point from the Las Divinas, and if you just abandon, you know you're in a losing position. You have to try. You can't blame her for doing so.
Absolutely not. Now LD pushing out once again with a good position to go into the Drake themselves, because what we mentioned, the Drake could be a distraction, but they knew what the priorities were. Going to try to spend quite a lot of resources. Call of the God of the Forge still pushing out here, but look at the defense that Sari applies here. Trying to spend is going to survive. No! Into the tower range Laylee goes, but he's going to get absolutely shredded by Delicate as this Nefiri is just huge. Who let the dogs out? And then Bessa is the one definitely going out for the reins of this horde.
Yeah, and this must be it, right? The death dimers are so big right now. 30 seconds for Charlotte, 40 for the rest. They have the Baron buffed minion wave, 2 cannons as well. 1 Pantheon can't really defend, but I've seen worse. I've seen things that hold me from this MSI, so let's not call it before it ends.
Well, I am calling it right now. Double of those Nexus turrets going down. Wasi, the Soul Pantheon can't do anything. They're gonna go straight for the Pantheon themselves, and they go for the ace into the Nexus, and that is game 1 for Las Divinas in a 1-0 of day 4 of Equal Esports Cup.
And what a way for them to claim their first victory, the most Las Divinas way ever. Clean early game. Mid-game question marks, late game find a pick, ... profit. Just this time they managed to end. Last time they couldn't, this time they did. And my real question is right now, what are we going to see from Las Divinas after this? Because sometimes, you know, when you pop that cork, suddenly everything comes out flowing. Is it going to be this, or is it going to be still WL Gaming fighting tooth and nail?
Well, I know that they're definitely going to try to make this stable in a 1-1 effort, but we are still getting ready for this game 2 of the day. So we're going to go into a short break while we get things ready, and we're going to be back soon with Equal Esports Cup.
fantastic. And what a game this was. You see Husky already being pumped up due to Dragon winning.
Here we are, Las Divinas, as we say in the Spanish community. Nadie pasa de esta esquina. No one crosses our line, no one crosses our street, because this is our statement. We are here to win. Let's go!
In true Las Divinas fashion, and WL Gaming being Las Populares, I think, won that game, and rightfully so. But however, we don't have. I wouldn't like to discriminate against WL Gaming because they had a really, really strong early game. I mean, I saw Laylee in a fashion that I haven't seen her in a while, being so confident in her Akali, playing so much for those skirmishes. She got an amazing sat down, but I didn't think they use it too much to their advantage. What I mean by that is, while they were way ahead, they didn't use their gold or any of the resources to win the game. And they got like really mentally boomed when they saw the Ambessa playing for the side lanes. And that's where the game was lost. Kiyomi, what do you have to comment on that? Kiyomi doesn't want to comment on that.
The Divinas
She said it all.
breaking everything. Let's go. We are too cool.
I mean, I think it's mostly that they are not as experienced. So that's one thing. Also, they didn't have as much time as Las Divinas have had together. So that's the main issue. I was really happy to see them working all together. And it was really showing that Laylee and Wasi have spent some time together, even in duo queues. They were on point. They showed once again that they're not afraid no matter who they're playing against. But what can you do? Las Divinas were always the most popular group. So it's okay. We're going for the next game.
Either way, on the soul.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Quick thing, because I really want to say that Akali made me the chills, because she just jumped. She jumped all the way in, and it was marvelous. Like, it remembered me to all those players from Worlds and the Korean styles that they have no fear. So yeah, my regards to Kiyomi, because her team was like chef kiss.
Well, they are mostly Albanians, so
my heart does have to go out to WL Gaming as well. They did play an amazing game. I do hope for the second one to go better, because they have everything going on for them. I mean, they got the Pantheon, which was amazing. They got the Akali, which performed really well. I didn't know, in the great scheme of things, what didn't work for them to go so sideways. I think they are mainly early to mid game focused. That's why they lose some things in the late game. What I think as well might go better for them is a better pick of top laners. I think Ambessa, while indeed being a kind of a weak side top laner, is kind of more versatile than Ornn can be. I mean, yeah, weak side is more versatile than Ornn can be. I mean, they fall on the same category as K'Sante and Ornn and all that. But you can do a lot of damage. You can isolate a lot of the enemy team carries. You can be just present on the entire map. And what I want to see from WL Gaming this time is picking a top laner which can deal great damage. And I mean, if we went for the pants, you have Gertrude the pony. Wouldn't you like to see her on a Hecarim or... Isn't she the pony after all? Kiyomi.
You are cooking something.
I am cooking.
That one.
Yeah. But we have seen Garen, okay?
Yeah.
Why won't Gertrude pick Hecarim or what's the other one called? I am, the offspring of Nico.
Oh yeah,
the pony?
Lilia.
Lilia, thank you so much.
Yeah. Ooh,
I mean,
Lilia top lane. Those were the days.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that used to work sometimes. They used to work. I mean, lots of things
Maybe.
used to work. What I love seeing, however, is Karma top lane. I don't think they will pick it because they have a lot of counters, but we are just cooking there.
I think if we want to see something more strong, we're probably going to see a Gnar.
Mhm.
I don't know how Fang is going to respond to that. I
Mm.
hope the response is not a Jax or something like that. I
Mhm.
know she hates playing into Jax when it comes to these picks. So hopefully we see something like an Gnar. And I would honestly love to see some setup on jungle. I have some ideas of what it would be, but I would
Mhm.
love to see some setup on jungle and maybe a poke bot lane. I think would be the
Ooh, I
best.
love that.
Mm.
Yeah, a long range run like Varus or something like that. But it was banned, so we couldn't have seen it on that game. However, I have something to comment on in general on WL Gaming's picks, and I would love Husky's opinion. I mean, one of the best picks for Laylee is Ari, but I don't think that altogether Ari works as well as she used to. I mean, I think she's a really weak champion for competitive. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe that Ari has been like consistent in most of the seasons, but now I feel that we see more picks like Oriana, picks of enchanters that
Mhm.
are more reliable in all the minutes of
Mhm.
a game. Like in the early game, you want the jungle to be free to go from one side to either another in order to support the bot lane and take the early crooks and the dragons. So yeah, I believe that Ari is gonna miss a little bit of the protection, but
Mhm.
I would love to see her play it. Like if she has played the Akali this way, Anari could be lovely.
However, I don't think that's a really good setup for most of the junglers. I mean, you have so many mid laners that can do her job way better. I think that like let's say Hui has
Ooh,
an entire
a
set of
nice
skills
pick.
that are way more useful. You have the slows,
Hmm.
you have the insane damage, you have
Yeah,
so
and
much
I
things.
believe that in this draft, they could have used it better because the Akali wants to go in, and with the Hui and the Cho'Gath, no, the little spitting monster,
Mhm.
they
Oh.
will have done better the job of trying to poke the other team
Mhm.
and win like a game of exhaustion instead of an early kill and then leaving all the
Mhm.
damage to the others. So yeah, I
Mhm.
agree with you, Depi, that Hui could be greater.
Fantastic. Now we are going to see the two drafts. I hope that they have learned from their mistakes and pick something more aggressive on top lane or just something that can make them last longer eventually. However, I feel that we're going to see pretty much the same bans or picks from both sides since this isn't a fearless anymore. Why change a team that is already winning? So Las Divinas, you did pretty much pretty good. Don't change anything. However, I did enjoy the Nafiri from Delicate as well. I think I haven't gotten enough from her. I don't think it was. I think it was Black Bloxer who commented on the Nafiri pick. She like really dog walks them with this pick. She didn't really sign on the first minutes of the game, but as the game moved forward, we got on to seeing more good plays from her, and I really enjoyed that. Not only um, as a personal performance, but altogether as a team. Ooh, we do see Ari and Tristana being banned once again. I don't think that's really the best decision because, like Las Divinas, if they do pick Ari, you can easily counter it either way. Talia and Zoe are really nice bans on WL Gaming side. However,
Woof, woof. Yeah, I believe that they are trying to like block all the like comfortable picks and make that the Oriana was the safe pick that we have talked about. And yeah, I believe they are gonna enjoy it more because the previous was an Ornn first pick. No, which was the first pick of
It was Pantheon.
Yeah.
Oh, Pantheon. Yeah.
I think even if you do first pick Pantheon, you don't actually get to counter it with something. I do, however, want to see a wombo combo from WL Gaming's side. Since they already got the Oriana, I want to see it paired with something like a Jarvan, something like... I do like the Ornn from the last draft. That would be a nice combo. Last Divinas, however, is already picking Rel. How unusual, I would say. And for me, once again, Lux from the mid lane is a 0-100 or 100-0 type of pick. So I don't think where the ball lands in this case, would it be a good pick for them or would it be a bad pick for them? Kiyomi, what do you think?
I think it also matters that...
Yeah, back out. Come on,
I
everybody.
honestly think that it's like they also took it from Laylee. It's one of her main champions. The Tristana ban is also for both Laylee and Mirai. They flex it a lot. Laylee, for anyone that doesn't know, previously was an ADC main, so anything that is ADC can flex it easily into mid lane.
I like what Icebreaker is cooking. I love it.
He is cooking it.
He is cooking. I love the wombo combo they're trying to make with Oriana and Diana. It's going to be Sevskis. While I was seeing WL Gaming's draft and thinking they got for the Ariana Grande draft, what I mean by that, I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it. They saw it from Last Divinas and they were like, it's mine now.
And there's the pony.
Wow.
That pony we were crying about earlier. You know something, Husky, and you're not telling us.
I know. I actually know a few things. How was that saying? Oriana Grande. I love it. I love it. Oriana Grande.
Yeah,
I am white. I drink and I love things.
I was gagged with that comment. It was fantastic, and I
It
really
was fantastic.
Pa, 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 pa. Caps everywhere. We are Divas Divinas here in the EC, in the E universe. But yeah, I could love to see the Hecarim that we have talked about in the top lane, and we go full horses from Las Divas team being on brand. But yeah, I think that Lilia matches the fast jungle like the route that they do, and she's like matches the way that Diana wants to play in the game.
However, I am able to see a really good setup from Las Divinas as well, with the ulti from Narelle and using as well the ulti from Lilia so much as an engage as well as a disengage, because you can use it from dealing huge amounts of damage or just like taking your team away from things you don't want them to be in. The Xayah is an interesting pick from them. Ooh, it lets you just avoid a lot of things from WL Gaming's side. Really, really interesting drafting from their side. What would you like to see from WL Gaming's bot side, Kiyomi?
I'm not exactly sure. I would really like to see the Jinx one more time. I think the game that's it. And there it is! What can I say? I think her Jinx didn't sign enough the last time she played it. And the Gnar, I know them. I just know them. But I think this game is full comfort for them. I think Alistar on Charlotte, not everyone has seen it, but it's something really spicy. And I do advise everyone is careful of it. The wombo combo is there for both teams, though.
I love it. I love it, indeed. I don't think at this point I can say that one team has better draft than the other. And you know, the only thing I am kind of unsure about is that the Gnar is kind of predictable. I mean, you can see when the rage is coming and when it's not, just to avoid it altogether. But we do have limited time ahead of us. So I would like to sum it up and just say our last thoughts on the drafts of the two teams. Husky.
Yeah, I will say that Las Divas, again, are going to be the ones controlling the streets with that Lilia, with the Casante. They are really strong picks, and that Saya is going to be untouchable.
Hear me?
I mean, he's kind of right. Draft-wise, I prefer the Las Divinas one, but I know the girls and I know the comforts, so I really hope they can shine this game. I believe that Ulju can win this game. I hope they prove me right, but shout out to Las Divinas still.
In my heart, I have to go with WL Gaming once again. They have gotten a one-ball combo. I mean, if they don't manage to win it this time, when will they ever? So thank you so much for your predictions. I will pass you once again to our lovely casters to enjoy the game.
Right, thank you so much, Defi, in the desk. And I feel like I might be on Las Divinas again. I think they have a very good composition, but the scaling power of WL Gaming is pretty strong, Rev.
Yeah, have you ever had that feeling of deja vu? Because I just had it once again. Different picks, more or less the same. You're kind of outscaling, you're kind of outraging, you should be out team fighting, but can you out-rotate Las Divinas? Because that's where it came down last time. You were getting so many advantages when you were actually meeting face-to-face with the enemy team, but you couldn't pull yourself ahead in gold. And playing with picks like the Jinx, you should do that, right? You should manage to find yourself in the 3-4 item power spike early enough so that you don't really need to ever engage into the Zaya and make your life easy.
Exactly. Yeah, like you say, it's all about having the Jinx really scale because the Zaya will be untouchable, like the desk mentioned, considering the amount of protection that we have on the side of Las Divinas. But I'm thinking as well that this mid lane matchup is quite interesting. The Lux versus the Orianna. I feel like it's different because Orianna just spending much less mana on those little chip damages, the Lux having to manage the mana much more for the poke and the controlling of the wave. We'll see what's going to be the upper hand because we know that in the range versus melee matchup, we saw Las Divinas win, but this is a range versus range, a mage versus mage.
Yeah, it's a weird one as well, right? Because on the one hand, you do have your Orianna better trading power, better auto attacks as long as Lux doesn't hit a spell on top of you, so she has that one enhanced auto attack. But on the other hand, you reach like level 9, level 11, and suddenly, if Lux isn't ahead, she just becomes an interactive. She just AFK, clears the wave 2 towers away, and then she can look to try and play some cheeky invade or stay in the bush and try to control the river with her jungler. And yes, it's a double EP there, and I'm always quite skeptical of double EPs because Mercury suddenly becomes so much more valuable, although it's only 1200 gold. But still, if you manage to crowd control somebody and give Lilia an easy way to hit the watch out EP, to set up her sleep, suddenly there's quite a lot of catch out potential from the side of Las Divinas.
I agree, and it's just good, right? It's just a good scaling curve that they have on their squad as well, considering the composition. And like you mentioned, the setup is there so that the Zaya can just ditch out those feathers and just get as much damage as possible. The other position, though, is the side of WL Gaming, potentially setting up the Jinx to be hitting a mile away as long as they can keep them away from the Lux and getting their snare to the face, because the final spark will definitely take the Jinx down pretty easily. But there's still quite a lot of possibilities where we see the Diana in the side of WL Gaming going for those early ganks and trying to just get some flashes away in the mid lane, maybe in the bot lane, to try to enable those hyper carries to get some leverage in the early game. We'll see how that's going to go, because I personally think that Las Divinas had a stronger early game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. They did have, right? Maybe bar the little incident in the top lane where suddenly Ambessa is on the back foot for the first minutes of the game because, own gaming sometimes. They did have quite a better early game. There were no advantages gained from WG, losing waves in the mid lane, losing waves in the bot lane, 2 breaks, 2 out of 3 grabs, and except that one team fight over the last grab, Las Divinas had complete and total control of the game. But this also maybe was really set up by some very nice drafting, because their draft should have been actually the strongest in the early game. So they did execute on that. This time around, I'm seeing a couple of differences. Not that necessarily as champions they are better skirmisher. Of course, the Jinx needs to scale up once again. The Alistar, not the greatest level 1, 2. After level 3, it's fine, but still very, very squishy after the Aftershock has dropped. You do have some picks to which I'm looking at to try and get control in the early stages of the game, and that should be the Gnar, because Gnar into Cassante should be unplayable for Cassante. And since Fengdere did struggle just a little bit in the laning phase last time, maybe that's something that they can, they can stress on it and try to create some cracks in Las Divinas' armor.
And to be honest, that is basically what we saw in the mid lane for Las Divinas, the range versus melee matchup that now favors the side of WL Gaming in the top lane. Like you said as well, if they can shut down, in this case, a Cassante, there's also a copy passive related to this champion, just like the Horn in the last game.
Yeah.
Just like the Ambassador in the last game that was rightfully banned. It was very impactful. We also know as well that as soon as the laning phase is done, the Cassante will still be okay. It can still just go for the bot lane and just swap out the lanes and guarantee the farm on their zone. And as soon as they have those item power spikes, they go into the team fight and it just really just wreaks havoc. So we saw from both teams good knowledge on going for these flanks. Strategic flanks have been present on both sides. And in this case, I think both compositions favor this game style as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you find the flank with your engage into both of those team comps, you should be having the upper hand, because the moment like Alistar finds 2-3 people and knocks them up in the air. Well, finds a 2-3 people, Magnus storming to crash down. There's so much more to follow up. From the one side is the equalizer into just go to sleep, have a nap, wake up from a laser in your face. There's just so much. But we also, last time, maybe except again Fengdere, we saw pretty straightforward setup. They were approaching Rake, mostly no flanks. They were just staring down each other, playing the intimidation game. And that, maybe, I want to say it will favor the Xayah, because when you do know where the enemy is coming from, it becomes way easier for you to just press the tab button, which is not only a defense, but it sets up your offense. So many feathers on the ground, the enemy on top of you, you suddenly pull those feathers, that's heaps of damage going down over there. On the other hand, yes, the Jinx has a range advantage. Yes, she can, poke you a little bit down with a couple of those rockets, especially if she builds into the rapid fire cannon. But that's it. Where's the pill for the Jinx? Will you use the Alistar for the pill? Then where's your engage? Will you just let the Cassante sacrifice half of his HP just to be a pseudo engage for your team? It feels kind of iffy from the side of WG.
And to be honest, I also think that they had the same flaw to the previous composition. Part of the composition wanted to go in, part of the composition wanted to defend.
Yeah.
Did you leave the Braum alone with the Kog'Maw? But meanwhile, the Pantheon and the Akali were just going forward to the enemy backline and leaving that gap open. It's just something that can be dangerous. And I think in the case of Las Divinas, they learned how to utilize it in the late game, because like you said as well, mid game was a little bit iffy, but in this case, in particular for game 2, maybe we'll see Las Divinas having that extra bit of information on the enemy game style and could use that to their benefit.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And the thing is, the longer you don't get punished, the more opportunities you have to actually punish the enemy team, right? Death timer is becoming longer and longer, means that if the enemy team hasn't really set up the weight, set up the game state, actually punish you by taking down your turrets and forcing you deeper into your own territory where you have to defend and use more time to then spread out onto the map, that means you can win just one team fight and end the game. That's what we mostly saw last time around, right? Because Las Divinas had, I think, 2 convincing team fight wins. And one of them, they won the game from the mid lane, the mid state of the game. And that's all, because 40-second timers are so big when your team can just melt the enemy towers like they are holding hot knives and the towers are made of butter.
They were made of butter. They were definitely very meltable. And it's not just that. The fact that they got the Atacon, got the Baron as well. When they went for their mid lane push, like you said, it was just easy, straightforward. Go in, split it in half. And Summoner's Rift was just basically Las Divinas at that point.
Yeah.
But we have some technical difficulties, and because of that, the draft had to be reset. The lobby will be initiated once again. So we're going to go into a short break while we get that sorted, and we're going to be back soon with Double L Gaming and Las Divinas for the game 2 of today. Welcome in, everybody, to the game 2 of WLG versus LD. As we have 1-0 of the record for Las Divinas and a 5-person stack on the bot side.
It's not gonna be easy. Oh, I think Mirai spotted them. They sound the alarms. If Charlotte ever gets caught over there, it's gonna be a disaster. And nobody should ever get caught. Now, what do you get from that is my question, and I think it's mostly Raptor control, right? Both of those AP champions are very, very quick at eating out the chicken, and they do want to find out when they are respawning. Just go in for a couple of seconds, get an extra cam, get an extra stack for your jungle item, and leave before anyone notices you.
Very valid, because in this case, differently from last time, there's no Pantheon, there's no like early base AD damage to come through. Both of these mages need some time to scale, but they also have very interesting setups that come only on level 6. Now, we mentioned that priority is going to happen on the top side for Gertrude over Fegdere. Here in the bot side, it's important for Las Divinas that they can get some early game level 2 control.
I mean, yeah, they should have level 1 control, because usually the supports are the ones that indicate how the lane's gonna go. But you see, Jinx is one of those champions that can kind of negate the matchup, because even in losing matchup, you can at least try to contest the waves. It's like the Jinx, it's the Jhin, all of the J champions for a reason. And instead of losing because your support is a moving ward of level 1, you just push in the wave, you sacrifice a little bit of the mana. You see Mirai is already at half the mana spot, but if you don't really care about playing for the first scrap, if you just, I don't know, let's say, push in the 3 first waves and then reset, what happened here?
Laylee just not dodging the abilities, I guess, and that
Who needs
E
health
on the
points?
look. Who needs health points when you've got flash and TP? I guess.
I mean, imagine playing with Ignite here. I know nobody almost plays with Ignite. But,
Look at that!
Oh my god, is Lux broken? Okay.
Is Dragon broken?
Dragon is broken. Oh my god, also, guys, chat, we should all congratulate Dragon. They just ended a 13-game lose streak in the EEC.
It's true! Dragon got that first win. Let's go, Dragon! Let's go.
A hand of applause.
Congratulations.
Honestly, deserved. I think it was the most undeserved losing streak ever. And she's back. The thing is, like, usually you've seen that when you just unpop a cork. I've used the same analogy last time, but you unpop a cork and suddenly it starts flowing everywhere. It has happened before. People not winning anything until they win everything.
And maybe we're gonna see somebody getting first blood very, very soon. Flash is forced. Oh, not gonna land a snare here. Still trying to get that snare back with Stratospender, but not going to be the case. Although everybody on low HP is going to be forced now back to base, but Las Divinas still in a good position to get this wave pushed.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon still has the teleport, so she resets, loses the best part of a wave for that play, or maybe the whole wave. And what do they win? Flash used from Charlotte. That's a very, very important cooldown, of course. She plays with the Hex Slash as well, so has some playmaking potential. But on the other hand, Dragon, without her flash, she is a sitting duck over there. And the moment that Laylee hits level 6, I think that WL Gaming should put a huge target on top of her head to try and punish the lack of that summoner.
Absolutely, because the Lux is one of the most vulnerable of the champions, if not the most vulnerable champion in this whole lobby. So, well, maybe the Lux, maybe the Jinx, maybe. I think Lux has even less HP than the Jinx does.
I mean,
going here to the top side.
A little bit more of a self-build, I'd say, with the traps. But yeah, we're gonna see nice little invade over there to try and apply some pressure over Delicate. With Dragon not having flash, maybe she doesn't really want to move. But
a first blood going to Las Divinas. Rev and a flash forward. The shield is enough. Look at the rocket. No mana. Mirai's not gonna be able to capitalize on that, and it's a 1-for-0 now on the hands of Sadi, taking that kill and assist for Stratospender.
Oh my god, that's a tilter over there. If Mirai would have gotten that kill, she'd feel very, very nice and honestly deserved. Gets all those summers out of Las Divinas bot lane. However, and at least that's a small little W for the side of WLG. But with the kill going into the Royals pocket, that's not a huge advantage, honestly.
And Delicate manages to steal here the chickens as well from WL Gaming. So Wasi will be a little bit behind on this jungle clear. The Drake has spawned, but I believe that having the reset still coming through, we're still gonna wait for 2 more waves or something along the likes. Well, Dragon here just going for the damage because Laylee has no mana, so they are gonna be forced to reset.
No mana and no teleport as well. So with that reset, the moment she enters her base, that means she abandons that wave as well. Thankfully for WLG, Wasi is there together with Charlotte, so that wave will not go down into the ether. Someone will collect all of those bounties, but that also means that she's not there farming her jungler. She's not there contesting the river control, and that may mean that LD will collect the first Drake way easier than they otherwise would have, especially with that slight item disparity in the bot lane right now.
Yeah, things are looking a little bit difficult there for Mirai, considering they were so close to getting excited and potentially getting a double kill. No mana for the Rockets was definitely something to be upset about. But it's just a reminder, you need to really manage your Rockets and your mana in the laning phase and while you're farming, so you actually have it when you're going for an engage. But like you said, we have these like trades back and forth that we saw in the previous game too, where LD takes a good upper hand in the early game, but WLG also still maintaining some good trades back, like you said, with that mid lane still collecting the farm, not going into the ether, and that means that it's not going to be wasted. And in the early game, what you need the most is having every single resource in your pocket.
Yeah, the biggest difference for me from the side of WLG is that Laylee right now doesn't look half as comfortable as she was in the Akali. And Akali is a very special champion because, I mean, there are all those memes that, oh, it looks fancy, but it's pretty easy. And I know there are some easy combos, but especially in competitive, it really shines through skill expression. And she shone through that pick. Right now, with the Orianna, she's mostly a support right now. Yes, she has some good trading pattern. We've seen some 3k elo shockwaves in our times, but it's not that easy because everyone or most people are aware to look where the ball is, where can I move, especially playing into something like the Zaya, something like the Gnar who can outrange or like leap away from the shockwave. It's not as easy, and you're kind of waiting for the wombo combo, trying to waiting for Diana to find 3 and 4 people, waiting for the Alisa to get the multi-man shockwave and be the ball delivery system. And that's a completely different role from the previous game. And you can see she's not as comfortable in the laning phase as well. So I'm kind of starting to get worried if they'll have that extra threat, that extra tip of their spear to try and gain control back in the mid game.
And if you think about it, considering Akali versus Orianna's much more straightforward. You see somebody coming at you, especially Wasi or Gertrude, you know that there's going to be a ball delivery system happening. And that follows up by all of the CC chain in the world as well. So it's something to keep in mind if we don't see as much confidence from Laylee. But now LD, like you mentioned, going for that early Drake, now 2 minutes after its spawn. Still controlling the lane pretty well. A good freeze from Stratuspender here on the bot side. Also protected by Sari on that pixel bush and a detection ward as well. So things are looking really good and kind of similar to game 1 for LD.
Yeah, very nice weak side play from Feng there as well. She's somehow 10 CS ahead. She's not struggling at all. Knows when to reset. Doesn't give out any easy angles for a gank or a dive or whatever. Playing the Cassandra as the Cassandra should be. Maybe that would be also the perfect opportunity to slowly yet surely rotate the Cassandra into the bot lane. Make sure that Stratuspanda and Sari will be around the first grabs spawn, the Void Grab spawn, so that you can try and get something at least away from the Gnar, because the Gnar is the only real split push champion in this game. And if you allow that little cheeky Yordle some free time with the turrets, especially after the Triforce completion, you will give so much gold towards the other side.
Gold getting collected here by WLG on those Void Grubs, so trading that for the Drake. Oh, very nice setup into the Featherstorm that dodges the Chompers. We're good. LD remains strong in the bot lane. Meanwhile, 2 Void Grubs were taken by WL Gaming, and Wasi will grant the 3rd, so both neutral objectives traded all around.
Yeah, you're getting the grabs now. That's a very nice pickup from WLG. I'm thinking, why would LD not want to do this? Maybe they want to just get the power farm up. Both of the junglers are more than halfway done in their jungle items stack. Delicate hasn't reset, I think, in so long. I only see components, and I'm pretty sure she's very, very close to the Leandra Stormwind, which I suspect she'll pick up. And some very good news for Los Divinos is that Dragon's Flash is once again up, and she can start playing offensively once again.
A level advantage here for Wasi over Delicate, and they are taking pretty much... Oh, look at the rocket!
God.
It's gonna get dodged. Well, actually, just wrong angle in this case. Delicate was just rushing straight forward, and that is going to be a flash on cooldown for LD's jungler, but it still gets her to live.
I mean, yeah, as long as she lives, that means that it's a flash will spend over there, and it's still not big team fight time, so you don't really need to flash Q ult your way into a victory. You're fine. You can just go back into farming, complete your jungle item. Your power spike is 2 items wrong. You need the Zhonya's Hourglass, or at least the Seeker's Armguard to look into that huge play angle. Now, I want to look at the goal lead. It's pretty dead even, and I'm trying to find where is that equalizing factor for the side of WLG, and I can only see the cow, because otherwise they're a camp ahead in the jungle, and the rest are pretty even, or lagging behind, especially the top lane.
And we've been mentioning, there is like win conditions for both sides here. For the side of WLG, we have a winning matchup, right, for the Gnar versus the Cassante that can be exploited, especially with the split push potential after the Trinity you mentioned. We also have the bot lane with the Jinx that can really hyper scale. But that mid lane, Laylee not doing half as much as she was doing on the Akali for this Orianna, means that the playmaking ability of Orianna is going to be much more reliant on having teammates alongside her.
And I'm not sure I'm too happy about the build path as well. I do understand it's the safest way to go for the game, it's the safest way to just deal damage, but who will be like the actual carry? Who will be the one to burst through Stratos Panda, to burst through Dragon, to burst through Delicate? Fengdae and Sari are not your actual targets, right? It shouldn't be. And if you're both AP carries building slow burning damage, who's gonna be doing the carrying in the team fights?
It's a very valid question, Rev. And right now, the person doing the most damage has been Dragon in this mid lane. So we'll see if that's going to remain the case. If she can get some kills herself, that is definitely going to elevate Wasi. Looking for a blue to steal. None to be found, but a Xayah to be found. With Featherstorm, Barrier, and Flash is not going to be an easy dive. Now, Sari is joining as well, but it's still a 4-person push for the side of WLG, really focusing on Stratos Panda. Still going to get taken into the Chompers now with the Featherstorm. Now, Magnus Storm as well, but the damage is too much. WLG will guarantee the takedown, but it's traded back by another kill onto Charlotte. Make it 2 and a feat of warfare for LD because of it. And at the end of the day, does it feel actually good? A cleanse forced out from Mirai because of that sleeping powder from Delicate. So another summoner spell not going to be available for the ADCs.
Yeah, and what was your goal there as WL Gaming? Did you want to make sure that Stratos Panda lags behind? Then you managed to secure a goal. Was your goal to win out in the specific play? Then no, that was a very bad play, and it was from the moment you saw Sari. Oh my goodness, Fengdae just solo balled.
Well, that's our Na priority versus Cassante going down the drain, Rev. And honestly, I kind of had a feeling that was going to be the case because Fengdere has been playing really well. And I trust her ability, especially in this copy pasta champion that is Cassante. Because of it, they're going to take the Drake themselves and stacking up to their second one of the game. We're going to know pretty soon as well what's going to be the Soul. And LD controlling early game. That is just exactly what they know how to do. Mountain Soul is the one for this game.
And this time they also have quite a nice gold lead. Not too significant, but very nice to have that 1500 gold lead. You can see the item completion in the top lane matters. And as the color caster right now, I must be the nerdiest one. I should be the one bringing out stats, and I have a very important analysis question to ask you. Is Fengdere just the GOAT?
I mean, that's what the evidence indicates, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Fengdere just really making a difference here.
Yeah, actually just smacking Gertrude over there in the top lane. Just misstepped once in the laning phase, then said, I understand, I will never do this again. And plays masterfully. I'm not sure when was the last time I saw Cassante being 20 CS ahead. I'm not even going to mention the solo kill, but 20 CS ahead of Anar. And 2 plates as well. I'm not sure if we'll have a chance to look at the goal differential there, but it should be close to 1k.
I would say so too. Yeah, I was thinking 1k is a solid lead that Fengdere must have gotten over Gertrude. With no objectives on the board right now, still waiting for the Herald to spawn pretty soon. Both teams are looking to gather some information across the map, trying to take some vision away, just as Sari is doing here on the bot side. Maybe an engage possibility that could be found onto Mirai. There is an ultimate available for Delicate. Oh, but look at the Diana. It's just going to be doing so much damage. Sari is really low on health. Look at the final spark. And they're not going to take them down. It's the Jinx Mirai who takes it. And that's going to be an ultimate used by Delicate to peel. And this disengage, well, it turned into a disaster for LD.
Yeah, I mean, they were a little bit too overconfident, feeling a little bit cocky. And WL Gaming did the best police impression and just punish that illegal movement. Very nice engage for Charlotte. Mirai getting that kill, getting excited. The only one not getting a slip as well. And that's the most important part because they had no cleanse. If that Lurling Lullaby would have hit the Jinx, it would have been game over. But now the play just turned around and I was just about to comment on how nice LD is playing the map because they have the Jinx in the bot lane and they can just have perma prio for the Rift Herald. Now that's lost.
And it's something that really changes from game 1 to game 2 when LD was making a good transition into mid-game. But now WLG has some control back for sure. They're still 2,000 gold ahead, behind exactly. Going for this Herald, starting by LD. There is vision that hasn't been denied from the side of LD themselves. But we're still looking at Wasi going for the Wolves a little bit behind. 50% on the Herald and a TP from Laylee. Oh, wow. How does that final spark actually not land? With the headbutt pulverized over the wall by Charlotte trying to go into Dragon. But they're not able to do so. Look at the Diana. Look at so much damage. They make it down. And it's a shutdown for the Orianna. Taking another one could potentially be Charlotte. Trade it back. Double kill for Fengdere. Is she the GOAT? Is she the massive GOAT? I think she is! And it's the Cassante for Fengdere who turns this fight around.
If she died 10 seconds earlier, 20 seconds earlier, 3 seconds earlier, Jinx would have had a massive reset and maybe the fight wouldn't be so clear-cut. But somehow, she refused to die again. Not on the Ambessa, on the Cassante this time. 2024 champions in Fengdere's hand keep delivering.
It's a frozen gauntlet, right? The Cassante just had so much resistance there with the feats of warfare that they collected as well for Las Divinas that just makes it even just the Cassante having that little bit of an edge. Just like we said, the lead in CS was so huge. The gold from the plates was already so huge. When the Cassante gets enabled and goes into a team fight, it really just turns the tides. And it's not just any Cassante, it's Fengdari's Cassante. Because we saw that final spark whiffing, and it could have just basically meant that Dragon wasn't going to do any damage. Because it relies heavily on final spark. You can't do much with just the E.
Yeah, you can, but you can do much if you have Sari that are finding priority targets time and time again, with or without flash, with or without ultimate. And we've gotten into that point of the game where even Delicate having a burn item can just sit back, play bowling with a swirl seat. And the one time it hits a priority target, it's go time. You press the ultimate, they fall asleep, suddenly final spark does more damage, and you can just one-shot somebody.
Oh, Wasi going with the ultimate again onto Delicate, trying to push something out of it. There's the Ignite as well, and a shutdown for Wasi herself. As now LD, with only 2 members, Fengdari, like you say, on the flank, pushing Wasi and Laylee, getting them at bay. The Chompers are not going to connect to anybody. Stratospender really chomping down onto Charlotte, but they're not going to take down the couches yet. It's now Fengdari still onto Wasi, handling a 1v3, a 1v4. She's still doing great. Goes in, first Q. Oh, still not able to connect it. There's a Super Mega Death Rocket, but it's a kill that goes to Dragon instead, and they need to be careful about this rotation here. Fengdari so low in HP. Stratospender gets slowed, but they are going to escape. How did this turn into a success for LD? It's just one word, Fengdari it is.
I mean, I'm not sure who actually won in this skirmish. I think both of them lost. Nobody got what they wanted for, but WLG now they can threaten the Drake, and Delegate's on the other side of the map. I'm not sure if she has enough time to just run around with the Jinx approaching the Drake. Dragon abandons the reset timer, might look for the steal. Ooh.
Okay, an interesting setup here. They had the slow, the final spark just to chunk them down, but they can't really commit to pushing here. They have no vision on the side of WL Gaming's jungle. So they definitely need to be careful about this. But it was an opening. One Drake traded for the tier mid-tier 1, which is something important that we saw have quite a lot of consequence in the previous game. Fengdari doing the same to tier 1 bot lane.
Yeah, getting more gold on her belt already. 30 CS ahead, 2 items completed over the one of Gnar. Very impressive things, and it's getting harder and harder to pilot that Gnar in the teamfights. Yes, when you got the Mega Gnar timing, it'd be nice, but Delicate got caught.
Oh, look at that layer of CC as well, but Delicate has to use that flash to get away with the Magnet Storm. Look at Sari setting them up. The final spark does quite a lot of work, but they still haven't been able to get anybody to go down. There is there to finish the job, and there is 2 kills for LD and make it 3. Still chasing for Laylee, but there's a tower on the way, so they're gonna stop the chase right now. But it's a 3-0 for Las Divinas.
I mean, it was looking kind of okay, but suddenly Sari was pushed near Mirai, and then Fengdari find the angle as well. Without the Jinx, you're not the same team, and that's a clean win for the side of LD and Atakan as well. And slowly yet surely, we see them getting unleashed. We haven't seen a goal lead over 3k for this whole series long, but now, here it is.
On 5,000 goal lead for Las Divinas, making a huge difference. Wasi, alongside Charlotte, had such a good engage. But all of a sudden, when Sari goes in with that Magnet Storm, the tides just change. And LD ditch out the damage. That 3-person final spark from Dragon as well. Really making a difference. Now with the Atacon having even more pressure right across the map, we know that LD is starting to get into that flip point that we saw game 1.
Yeah, and now, what's the angle for WL Gaming? The same thing I asked for LD last game around, and they found the angle. What's the angle right now for the WLG? If we zoom out, can they find a way to slow down the game? Because I'm seeing a Drake in 2.5 minutes. The next one will be a Soul for Las Divinas. Is this enough time? Is this 7-10 minutes enough time for them to scale up, to have an Orianna actually be a threat in the wombo combo, to have the Jinx be that hyper carry that the lower accurate Jinx is? Or is it gonna be just death by 1,000 cuts?
It's possible. It's possible. LD has gotten quite a lot of pressure. The vision will be expiring soon here in the blue side jungle. But Sadi is just there to make sure that the vision is not lost at the end of the day. We're still waiting on 2.5 minutes for the Baron to spawn. And like you say, with the Drake still in the middle of that counter, could be something that we would see or could see a fight be initiated for. Although Las Divinas, they are pretty much okay with giving away a Drake if they take Baron themselves.
You can give that back if you actually accelerate yourself fast enough. And the question is, how much is fast enough right now? Because if you just give the Drake and take one turret, I'd wager it's not enough. But if you kill Wasi as well...
That is a good pick. Going out for the jungler final spark. Just another auto attack. And Dragon takes it. Laylee might be just the next one to fall as Sadi is going in. Ooh, a lot of movement speed from that W, getting Orianna out of dodge. Now on the top side, 2v1 collapse onto Fang Dairy, make it a 3 actually. But we know this Cassante can definitely do some work. Going out with the all-out as well onto Mirai. Oh, there's the distance that Jinx needs to create. And now they're going to be able to take Fang Dairy down. Or are they? Fang Dairy goes in and shut down for Mirai.
Oh my god, if that Q3 would have landed onto Mirai, I'm pretty sure it would be a 1-for-1. And I know you're a Pokemon caster, so you'd know the meme, but it's a 3v1. That it's a fair fight.
Oh yeah, this is an interesting moment to be a Fang Dairy fan. Almost taking down the Jinx in a 1v3 is something that any Cassante lover wants to see in their life. Now with this Drake spawning, LD has all of the position to do it. Delicate will start itself. There's still 30 seconds for the Baron to spawn, and it should be just quite enough to rotate to top side. Meanwhile, mid lane, the Stratospanda is going to easily clean out this wave. The Xayah pretty strong on 2.5 items and a TP to back up as well from Dragon to make sure that this is going to be a very quick Drake, as it is taking just a little bit. Focus from the side of WLG on the top side. Gertrude will take the tier 1 and collect a bounty because of it, and they are already in position for that Baron.
I mean, I like the fact that they're not doing the tourist neutral objective, that they went there just to take pictures. They're doing something on the map, but I'm not sure if you need to overload top lane by that much. You could collect a couple more waves in the mid lane. Look at where the wave is right now. So, you know, that the Jinx could have gotten a bit more solo XP, or the Gnar could have gotten a bit more solo XP, some more gold for themselves instead of sharing everything. So, even if it's good, it's still kind of measured. Las Divinas, on the other hand, must be feeling pretty nicely with a 4k gold lead, 3 Drakes under their belt. I think the big purple worm looks very tasty for them right now and ripe for the taking.
It really is, Rev. And Soul Point is something that we know LD has been able to a certain majority of the times they've played. They get good control over Drakes, and that allows them to scale pretty well for late game. With that Baron up, as you said, Laylee will focus on the bot side, still having TP available, but Delicate has been spotted on the bot lane, which could be something to be exploited. But though, we still have Wasi on the other side of the map, so not really anything that could be traded, aside from maybe taking Laylee, forced out a flash, goes in, gets a nice knockup. There's not going to be a seed that connects onto Laylee, although there is still the ticking damage of the dot. They are going to reposition, and gosh, this Liana just really runs fast.
Yeah, she zoomed in. I was pretty sure I was watching a Zillion over there. She doesn't die, she's very fast, and she gives time for WLG to start out the bar. She also has the teleports in, and sorry, finds where Laylee is, and she might be in trouble. No, the Q misses.
Doing good still here. WLG, there's the damage on the Baron, starts to reset, goes in, fake Derek. 3! Look at the damage with a Magna Storm! Straight into the final spark, and that's LD for you! Going for another one, and he take it down! The only person standing is Laylee, and it doesn't matter. Las Divinas will get the Baron.
Thanks for the list, guys. We'll take it from here. You have the wombo combo, but we can do it better. What a fight. Clean, not ace, but close enough from Las Divinas. They secure the Baron. They have the 8k gold lead, and they have the win in their pocket, pretty sure.
Oh, asleep onto Laylee. Look at the damage. Even the Rel can take you down. Powered up minion wave as well. That cannon doing God's work while Fang Derry is clearing out top tier 2. And the game pause. Because, I don't know. We all need a second to breathe.
We need to see our faces just once more. I mean, you're looking very nice today. That what's
So
the name
are
from
you.
Wait. I need to find the name because you've told me the name, but Melvin
told
is
you.
looking fantastic.
Melvin, he is looking
Yeah.
fantastic. He's a good beam.
And my Fuecoco as well. Thank
Your
you for
Fuecoco,
taking
yeah.
time.
Yes,
Look,
I
I'm
have-
manifesting. Okay.
Okay, so just so you understand, Rev has claimed a hold of my Fuecoco. I have claimed a hold of his cat. Which, to be honest, I think I win. This is a favorable choice for me.
It is. But how many Fuecocos do you have?
I can buy another one. I'm not gonna buy a cat.
What you can pick up a cat from the street. It's not illegal. They don't tell you
You know
this, but
what's
because-
illegal? I can't. It's not pet friendly in my apartment. So
Oh,
That's-
well then you
that's-
can get the
that is
cat, and
illegal.
I still get Fuecoco. I'll name him Kevin.
he's gonna be Kevin. Okay, it's a good one. It's a good one. All right, so we got LD in a pretty solid lead, looking good on numbers, gold wise, kill wise, objective wise. And it feels like WLG hasn't been able to really connect on their engages. And although they have quite a good layering of CC, pushing here in the mid lane as we come back to game rev.
I mean, we'll get to try to find the angle, Charlotte. Definitely. Oh, the flash, nice one.
Oh, headbutt of Rice connecting to Delicate, trying to get some. Final Spark just says, I don't really care. Shut down, going to try to spend a nice dodge. Could continue pushing here. And Wasi has to be careful because those feathers, they are sharp.
I mean, what's gonna be longer, the pause we had of the rest of the game? And I think we know the answer over there. That was a valiant effort, but unfortunately you could see that the mental's been slipping slowly yet surely away from WL Gaming. And you know, it makes sense. You've been struggling for so long. You've been finding those angles, but it's always close. But as Graves once was, no cigar, and it has it all on your capacity. And it is a sport, right? It's still a sport because all of that psychology matters so much.
It does. And LD has been keeping up the cold and just absolute nerves of steel, ice in their veins, to make sure that they're not going to fumble the ball with this good of a lead. Almost 10,000 gold, 9,000 just doesn't sound as fun as 10.
I mean, yeah, but you know what sounds as fun as 10,000 gold? Having a Lux, 10 stacks, and a Dark Seal, 3 items strong, upgraded boots. I don't even know the name of the boots over there, but I'm pretty sure they don't care.
I think those are the symbiotic boots, I think.
No, it's the penetration boots, but it's the tier 3. So you're you get more penetration over there, like you didn't have enough. Oh, wait, look. Zap, no?
Okay. Oh, Wasi completely exploded. Look at that engage as well. Sure, trying to keep them standing for a little bit longer. Delicate will use their Zonias, and Mirai will guarantee their last kill. But does it matter? Does it even matter? LD not having that jungler, but no objectives on the board. Why do you need a jungle for? Need your ADC. You need your APC. You need to clean this wave. You need to clean the Nexus. The turrets go down, and last Divinas are just one step closer to taking this game. Mirai almost one shot in the fountain. Well, look at the amount of minions. Las Divinas on 2-0 of day 4 of group stage of League Sports Cup.
Nobody wins Las Divinas more than 6 times in a row, but unfortunately we can't say the same for WL Gaming. They had some very nice bright spots in this series, but it wasn't enough. Very nice for them to have some time to reflect on that, but I'm pretty sure they're mathematically eliminated from the rest of the tournament. They still have one more series, right? And sometimes having that weight off your shoulders does wonders as well. Once again, it's the part that makes this esport a sport. You won't have any more expectations. You can just feel free, have fun, and maybe we're gonna see a completely different WL gaming next time around.
That would be really fun. But now we celebrate the fact that Las Divinas got wins and Dragon has made it 2-0 in her win record. Is something so good to see. We're going to get into a short break while we prepare an interview for you all. Thank you so much, Rev, for casting with me today. And we're going to be back soon with the desk after the short break.
Fantastic. So here with us, we have Stratos Panda, or just a picture of Stratos Panda. We are, however, so happy to have you here. Welcome. How do you feel after that great win, that 0-2?
Hello. We feel great. I think we for sure played better today. So I'm very happy about that.
Indeed. Do you feel like it was a walk in the park, or was it a tough matchup? Because, we kind of we saw a bit of difference between the two matches. The first matchup was kind of harder, but you did get a hang of it on the mid to late game.
Can I be honest? I feel like we're waking up in the middle of the game. Like we're not really playing in the beginning, and then we're like, waking up a bit, and then we start to play.
Indeed, but I did see a great performance from you again from the last game against the Vitality Rising Bees, which was great. And I think it was really such a shame you get to lose that game. It was an amazing play, an amazing performance altogether. I do love that corky from you. It just really shines on your hands. You have been on the bottom two teams, but that win, I think it was a breath of fresh air and just opens up the ways for future wins. What are your plans for the future as a team and personally?
I'm not sure what our plans are at the moment. We're first of all gonna finish like all our easy games. We have games tomorrow too. Sadly, we can't make playoffs anymore, so it's a little too late. But I'm still happy about like the wins from today. For me, I would love to participate like more in the female scene and in the future. So we will just see what will happen.
It was a great performance from you indeed. But I think it was a great draft difference as well. Because I think it is more fitting from you to see hyper carries as opposed to like late game AD carries that get to stack more. What do you think about that?
About what, sorry?
About like the picks altogether, like picking hyper carries instead of a late game stacking carries.
I don't know. Like, to be honest, we just drafted like more comfort today for everyone. So I think that plays a factor. Like in the end, everyone has to be comfortable, and maybe we didn't practice, I don't know, scaling AD carries that much in the scrims. It's not something we prioritized a lot. But the quirky, for example, is something that we have practiced a lot in scrims. So, yeah.
It was indeed a great performance, however, and thank you so much for joining us today. It has been lovely having you. We will have to go through a small break, however, and then we will be right back with our desk. Welcome back. A small break indeed. And we're back with the Greekest cast that has ever Greeked. So, Rev, welcome to our desk. How are you feeling?
I'm way too excited. I'm still pretty hyped from the last game, and this one,
is supposed to raise the temperature even higher, as we do have some very, very strong contenders fighting tooth and nail this time around. So I am holding my breath right now.
Ooh, indeed. We have one of the top two teams competing against each other, so G2 and Zerance Bloom. So we do get to see their players as well. So we have Zenith for the top lane, Sheena jungle, Reem as mid lane, Caitlyn as bot, and Columble. I wish I have said
Columby,
it
it's just
correctly.
Columby.
Columble. Okay, Columble. Fantastic for the support. Thank you so much for correcting me as well. Speaking is not one of my quirks. However, I do need to get the feeling from the last game so we can just proceed for this one, which is one of the top two places so far on the scoreboard. What feeling did the past games leave you?
Well, honestly, if you ask me, they left me a feeling of a complete team, right? You're looking left and right in this tournament, and a lot of the teams have been rebuilt. A lot of the star players have been moving around. G2 HEL has been building on certain individuals for quite a long time. Like Colombo has been in G2 HEL for quite a while. Cultis has been there for as long as I remember, and they've been building together with M-Test. So, the fundamentals are no longer an issue for them. On the other hand, Zerance Bloom, as far as I'm aware, and I may be completely oblivious here, are quite a new organization. And I went in this tournament with no expectations from them whatsoever, and I've been nothing but pleasantly surprised.
If I'm not mistaken as well, they have gotten through the open qualifiers, and they did indeed manage a great performance. Kiyomi, what I want to ask you is, have you seen a player from Zerance Bloom that really has caught your eye? Kiyomi doesn't really want to comment on that. Her silence, my answer.
It's probably my internet that is super bad today. I'm sorry for that. But when it comes to Zerance Bloom, they're some of my favorite teams out there. They might have been a newer organization, but Otho and Vicky have been working behind the scenes together for a really long time. Vicky is one of the ADCs that are really nice in the scene, and she's, as a human, very helpful. She has always dragged the newest players and helped them out, the same as she's doing with Malo. Malo is a really good talent that many people slept on because of her bad English. And now we can see her actually shining with teammates that are supporting and actually teaching her, as I've heard, throughout the games. We're talking about a team with rookies being led by Vicky and Otho, which, in my opinion, is one of the best things in our scene. And this is what Esports is about, right?
Indeed. We have seen fantastic performances from OP as well. It's not that we have a Greek desk that I am talking about OP, but indeed OP was OP.
She was.
Indeed,
you
could see her having all that shot calling material on top of her. Like, she wasn't playing the traditional, let's play a Sion, let's play a Norn and have the biggest red button, you just press it and the team has to engage. But she was finding all of those angles, all of those teleports, all of those flanks, and from her initiations and from her angles, the whole of Zerance Bloom were finding W after W, and it comes to show 5-1, and I think she has been, if not the MVP, one of the MVPs of the team.
She was.
What I've seen from their last games, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I was going to talk about the first ban already that we see Zoe. It's a pick for both of the mid laners, both Reem and Malo. They're both playing it. I think in Reem's hands is always a bit more tasty, I would say, spicy. And the Orianna out as well.
Orianna does open indeed a lot of space for a big and good drafts. However, what I wanted to comment on is Zerance Bloom really are the masters of the late game, and I want to ask Rev his opinion of, do you think that they will have a draft that can reflect that?
Well, I really don't know, and the only reason I don't know is due to HEL, because they have been at times extremely unpredictable, right? Because they are 2 steps over the fundamentals. That means that they can actually try to diversify their hands and not rely on certain picks. And from that point onwards, you could play the misdirection game over all of the other teams, or at least most of the other teams.
However, we are indeed speaking about two well-rounded teams. I'm sorry for that. Is any team you can just say will have the upper hand, taking the G2 part aside? We already see the Xin Zhao, however, daring. Kiyomi? I will let you time to think about it. It's a hard question.
So, bar G2 HEL, and I mean, I don't want to start talking about Zerance Bloom right now. I think you should be looking at Vitality Rising Beast from this group, right? Because like there's huge names from the female scene like Nenrisa, Yuxia that have proved themselves time and time again. They also have Moga just sitting on the bench, ready to strike at a moment's notice. So a lot of strong teams over there, strong names over there that can actually pick up the slack if needed. Back to this game, I'm not really expecting an answer to the Zhao with blind Rel, even if you have Colombia playing on your team and she's
you press R, it goes over him, it's a great time. Add in the Syndra and your burst combo, you're skirmishing right now.
I don't think like the Rel has any other picks to be afraid of, because it's a really versatile pick. It's a really OP in this meta. You can blind it however you like,
right now, but it's a fun one nonetheless.
You can actually, I think, counter it with something. However, I do feel a certain way about the Seraphine. Coupled with the Syndra, I think we are a bit of a safety draft here. Kiyomi, what do you think?
Go for, and I think we have.
I think it's a bit shaky, but I've seen them pull out drafts like this, and I think
it might be a case of us just going for the steady into late game,
and in the
as
game
we
in
have
general.
a
I think it will
very
work
good,
out.
straightforward
I do
composition
have
with Rel
a lot of faith on Lori.
Yeah, look, we've got frontline disruption, fair amount of mobility here as well. Also, pretty good ways to tank up stuns. Rel
this molder.
Not sure if it's a flex. I think it's gonna go into Calpi's hands. She has been playing more and more of the scaling. I think she has been Tempest jailed. If you ask me, without knowing anything in specific, it feels that way, because if she was unleashed, we'll be seeing the Twitches and the Kaisas, but now she has been going into those hyper carries. But I'm not sure how I still feel about the Seraphine picks, because Vicky has been picking up a lot, right? They have been playing all those pseudo-mage supports, kind of leaning into the Enchanter playstyle. And I feel like
at least it's not
this playstyle also has quite a big limitation. It has an upper limit, which is
a great option,
kind of
just really
easily
narrowing down
reached,
the possibilities here.
if you don't follow it up with an engage. And I know for a fact that Lori also loves playing all those enchanters.
I don't know if that's
double enchanter
the
doesn't
choice they want to
always
go for.
go that
It's a
really
little
well. You
interesting,
need to have
and they
a
already
card
have
somewhere.
enchanters.
And in the late
So
game,
are we looking for the Seraphine support? Are we looking for the Seraphine APC? What's going to be the sorts of the likes here?
Indeed, I
feel
think
like
that
we
the
might be looking at
AP bot lane is kind of lacking. We haven't either way seen a lot of AP supports picked from Zerance Bloom's side. We have mainly seen a lot of tanks. So I'm kind of conflicted on those picks. And they do need indeed an engage. You are completely correct with the Xin Zhao comment. However, Rev, how do you think Kiyomi is going, how do you think the Seraphine is going to counter the Smolder, however, in this case, Kiyomi?
Would then put that Seraphine into the support role,
to be honest.
can
so
obviously then look to be really obnoxious lane with your double range options.
Again, I really love her Ezreal.
I think it's
this
actually a very
good
good
as well.
idea.
Even a Seaver, I would be down for it, and then maybe see an engage on top side.
We were mentioning.
at
and
tank
the
top
front line, I
so
think it's a much better option
I
than
really don't want to
Promise.
see Seraphine.
I was lacking that one last of the front line option. It was the Leona. Now let's have a look at what we will see here on the top side. That will be the R5 counter.
It's kind of done deal.
Yeah, I mean,
Zenith
we could see a Sen angle here,
right.
maybe, but
Jax
maybe they
or
were too
the
afraid of
Camille could be
the
options of
just
being good
a
on
lot of
split
crowd control
pushes
that
and
can
just
happen.
being able
If
to
Wukong
support
finds
the
you, then that means
early
that Rel
game
has a very
pretty
easy
well on their
follow-up.
own. So
And
Jax
then I know the
I
Ari
think
could
that
also
makes some
follow up as
sense.
well, and
It's-
Sheena has been finding those engaged
You're already in
time
this
and
position where you're
again.
very AP heavy
So
with the Syndra and the
instead of
Seraphine. You
giving
needed an
Biffy
AD threat
Boy
top side, some
to,
significant AD3 top
OP,
side, AD
they're
threat top
giving
side.
her
You now got the Shinzo and the
courage,
Jackson go
which is
forward,
honestly
backed up by a
respectable
Seraphine encore, backed up
most
by
of
a
their
Leona
wins have
ult.
been
If you
coming
can get
from,
that
if I'm
very
not
melee
mistaken,
comp
something
rolling,
of the sort of
things
a
feel pretty
best-
good. But this is Zenith, and she does love an Aurelia angle, but she'll go towards the Jace instead. It's AD poke. You can try and shove the Jax early, play from range. You do scale pretty well in your own right. You're a good carry threat. At this point, between the Smolder and the Jace, we've got really good scaling and range, and we're a lot less melee focused than they are right now.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think although I do enjoy Zenith on the Aurelia pretty often, this Jace I think is the most effective tool. You're going for that control in the early game because of range versus melee matchup, and the Jace on his own is just so strong in his own right. Late game, you know just how much lethality can do for this champion and just how much you're gonna have in damage on that shock blast.
Dislocation to the enemy team in your A, so you should be
I'm just
always
looking at the
having
Jace summoners. I'm
spacing over the
aware it
Jax,
looks like
and
I'm
then the
looking at
Jax
you,
slowly,
and that's
slowly
true. But I've got a very big screen, and actually
will
my
start to
camera's
struggle
inverted.
because
So I'm
both
not
of
just
them
staring at you
have no
quizzically.
sustain, but they
I
have
was
one
like,
thing,
Jace is going
then
to
it
be
just
Jace.
always
say something wrong? Am I okay?
No, you didn't. You were perfectly normal. I was hard focusing on Zenith summoner spells because she'd gone Ignite and
Prince
TP.
the other.
And I was thinking, is she going for
Now
the Ignite?
on the other side, Jace
okay, no flash zones.
is got way easier on the side
And
than
I was
the
like,
Jax.
and I was just like, it is Zenith though. But of course, because the camera's inverted, my right-hand side of my screen is actually the left on this one. So I was like staring intently at that. But it's just poor old Sophie who was like,
So
I was like,
maybe after a
what did
certain
I
point,
do?
I don't know, the
What have
20,
I
22 minute
done?
mark,
I was like
Sophie
full
could
on
become a menace
just
in the
going on the
side.
analysis, and I saw your face.
How about
like,
you, Kiyomi? How do you feel about the
am
draft?
I-
it's,
Do you
it's the
think
full cocoa
you lean
behind you. It's like,
against-
oh my days, I want your Skeletor evolution line.
It's true.
Bring it here.
It's true. They're good boys.
Well,
They're
what-
very good boys.
I feel like they would be excellent to pet. Like they're just nice and warm and comforting.
I know. They are. I love them. So, yeah, going on what you said there, we're just not just.
I mean,
talking
when you're
about
playing
the fact
versus
that
HEL,
Jace
let's
is
be
gonna have that
honest,
priority
they
in
are
the early
playing
game
B2.
on his
Everyone
own.
is
You're
being-
gonna have the Ignite saying Zenith wants to go in.
Right, so I task you with setting up the early game because I have to set up predictions for all of our viewers in chat so they may
no
earn
worries.
glorious channel points.
That's very important.
Of course,
for
voting
sure.
for G2 HEL.
Exactly, because we are not biased at all, and we are also not very ironic, I don't think. Yeah, so getting onto this game here, we are, again, if you have just joined, we are 6-0, undefeated on the day 4 of group stage in the Equal Esports Cup. The games will be played today will be 2 games. It's a point system for the group stage. And get to this one, Vrim. We're just trying to get some vision there. Just pinging out the enemy blue buff. But we haven't really placed the ward there, although they are aware, Zerance Bloom, that we have vision over their chickens. Although Zinzao has chosen to start on the red buff, we're going for the usual chicken start for Wukong.
Oh, this gets interesting. Alpi might be face checking Zenith, who did change out of that Ignite. So I was staring at the screen for no reason in the end. So I apologize, so for the additional stress. There we are. Outside, Vicky and Laurie trying to trade up. A Column gets the mount up with a bit of pheromone. That's not too much there. Zerance, in general, have been a pretty solid team. Good stun there onto Zenith, but not too much more to be seen. But so obviously you've cast with, of course, E-Universe, and shout out to that amazing crew who've been doing a wonderful job covering this tournament, and Mia Masters and a few of the other ones as well. What's your take on Zerance Bloom? Because I'm assuming you've seen a little bit more of the tournament in general, of course, from a bit more first-hand experience with the casting. Your take on this team?
I would say they're a solid team, like we're saying, like we're seeing with the 5-1, but maybe we're gonna have to leave that for another moment.
Oh, hang on, Zenith. Gets a decent chunk, has got the flash, lands another auto, won't quite be able to find too much more. There's enough pots in inventory, and the door and shield should bring Alpi back into an okay spot.
Alrighty. So just corroborating there, it's a team that I feel like can be bold, like we saw there. I think it was a little bit maybe too overexposed there for Alpi to go so heavy there onto Zenith, but still forced out the TP nonetheless, which I would say is something that Zerance can do well. These rotations are something that they perform and excel at, and like you mentioned earlier, they've done so by beating Vitality as well.
Also noting that Zenith on that
Zerance Bloom is going to be to contest this one still. G2 have been able to get to the objective much quicker.
Wow. Let's see. It's close quarters fight right down the river. Little is in a good position. Lori misses Zenith Blade. Teleport coming through. Full flares completely catches Sheena off guard, but the Cyclone is huge. Catches 3 people up. Cultist joins the fight now. Another Cyclone with a magnet field. That's wonderful. G2 HEL taking red. Rim forced the flash over the wall, but in comes Zenith, forcing the fight to continue. And looks like Zerance Bloom are out of fuel for this fight, as they're forced to disengage. Still scatter. The weak is good. Zenith chases through 200 health, but the disengage is solid. Zerance Bloom, they took a hit, but they proved the point.
Managed to pick themselves up a couple of kills. It's not the end of the world, that fight, but still, this is the worst point at which this fight is going to happen for you. Kalthus is free hitting that entire fight, and she doesn't do any damage at this point. There's an Essence Reaver in the back pocket of this Smolder. This isn't Smolder that is tickling, but that is very much not going to be the case once you have a couple of items underneath the Smolder's wings, and especially not once you hit those stacks. So if you're going to take fights like that, just straight up 5 fights where you blow all of your damage into Sheena, that's not going to work for Zerance Bloom. They need to find ways to get into the backline here and make sure that Kalthus and Rim are not able to just sit and hit for free.
Ah, but they have so much space, dude. Colomb is buying them so much space with that Rel. Like, how do you penetrate that back line? Because if you don't have Colomb, you're going to see Sheena backing up, which was what happened. One of the Cyclones was used to engage on that fight. The second one was to just slow their advance. Not allow them to get close enough to Cultist. Allow her to just free up a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
2 dragons down now. We're 16 minutes in. Dive
Yeah.
coming through.
Oh,
They
hang
want
on.
to go for Zenith. Zenith is the target to take down. Sheena tries to defend, and she's perfectly fine right now. Zerance Bloom are on the wrong side of the map, and Zenith is still biting. Dive is through. Lori takes a huge hit. OP is still not
Yikes.
tanking the tower, and the kill is clean. Can Sheena return? That's 1 HP, and a 1 for 2 in favor of G2 HEL.
Oh, that's bad. That's real bad right here. Out of Zerance Bloom. That's a fight that they decide to take. A dive they try to make work, and you can see it just takes way too long. They're not able to actually get that first bit of burst down onto Zenith, take her out anywhere near quickly enough. And again, this is just a real lack of damage available to them at the moment. They haven't been able to get far enough ahead of Zerance Bloom to be able to pay these sorts of dives off. Obviously, there's still plenty of time left in this game, but you're gonna get outscaled. There's a Smolder on the other side of the map. You needed to win this early game, and we just haven't seen it yet. Yes, OP is strong, but everybody else, they are behind their counterparts.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Like, OP is super strong, and they're focusing a lot on Zenith. Shouldn't they be, like, trying to shut down other key members of G2 HEL's squad at this point?
Yeah.
Because I see 3 shutdowns on the board right now.
Being able to pick up all of those shutdowns would go a heck of a long way towards closing up this 2,000 gold disadvantage that Zerance Bloom find themselves in. But there's a reason that they're only going towards Zenith at the moment, and that they're not trying to really pick onto these other members. It's that Zenith's the one who's in a weaker position and is able to be jumped at this point. Whereas you try to kill Rim, and, well, ulti available to an Ahri, always going to be very tricky. Same thing with Sheena.
Yeah.
Kalthus is potentially slightly easier to try to get on top of, especially right now without that cleanse available. But still, it's tricky, and you've almost always got Colombo Bill just in a back pocket.
Yeah, and right now, G2, I mean, we were talking about trading objectives. Dragon was not traded at all. They wanted to contest it, but now they have to contest Herald as well. Can this be a fight that Zerance Bloom afford to take? There's definitely going to try to get rage and aggro, get a little bit of aggro on that Herald. G2 HEL focus their attentions down into the mid tower. Rim is right around the corner. They could go for an engage. Mal will force to back off. Vicky is in a decent enough position, but Lori is the one that gets caught. That's a lot of damage coming through. Magnet Storm is available and ready, and in comes Mom with OP in the back line. Could be good, but the stun lands on no one. Sheena is stunned in the back. Zenith takes down Lori.
Oh, it's
OP is still
exhausted.
alive, but no cooldown to her name, and that's a double kill falling on Cultist with a tower in the side of G2 HEL.
Oh, Lori just steps up a little bit too far, gets immediately caught, and it's a couple of seconds before OP's able to arrive to that team fight. You saw she was sprinting up the mid lane, trying desperately to get involved, but at the point at which you actually get this Fed Jax into the backline, it's way too little, way too late. That's going to be another one fight right here for G2.
I mean, it felt like a little bit discombobulated. Lori
Absolutely.
was caught in the front line. OP had to hoof it all the way from nearly tier 2 tower at this point.
Yeah.
to join the fight, and there was no assistance together in the fight, no control over it. I feel like Zerance kind of fought where they thought it would be appropriate, but they need a little bit more close space. They need close quarters to get everybody on the board here.
Yeah. They're gonna need some big ultis as well right here. Specifically, we've not really seen an encore come through that actually, like, does anything. In fact, have we seen one at all?
We might have seen one in individual trades.
During the fights, but it just hasn't been that big one, you know, that lands onto 4 or 5 members, and then you can really jump into the backline as OP and Lily. We just haven't been able to see that yet, so Vicky, really gonna need to step up.
Big scatter of the week. Lily going in and wants to re-engage. Cologne flashes off. Sheena and Cologne get caught in the solar flare, forcing out the Cyclone. They find Rim as well. OP has her attentions divided as Sheena is still cycloning in the middle, flashes out of the fight, but gets caught in anyway. Rim now, Spirit Rush out through it while the fight develops on the other side of the map. Cologne, Cultist, and Zenith trying to close it out. Cultist gets a kill. Can she get the second? No, she can't. Mahler shuts her down. That's a lot of gold going into the mid lane of Zerance Bloom. And let's see if they can recall off of that one, because G2 HEL definitely don't want to let them go scot-free.
No, Marlo is currently recalling right on top of a ward. He's going to be able to get away with that one. But you called it out perfectly there, AC. Marlo with the big shutdown right there. It's going to close up the gold gap between these two mid laners quite a lot. We'll see what it turns into. Yep, that's going to be the Storm Surge completed. 2 items now onto the Syndra. Hitting a point where you're pretty strong. Still, though, 21 minutes into this game. And I don't know if you noticed, but Kalthus was beginning to execute people during that fight. She is incredibly far ahead.
If that fight wasn't split on 2 fronts, Cultist would have had a little bit more space. Yeah, it was a little bit messy now, wasn't it? Yeah, I didn't want to put it like that. But yeah, I feel like if she had a little bit more space to fight, she would actually be able to deliver damage. We didn't get to see the whole top side of the fight, but because we were looking at Sheena dancing it off with Rim on one side of the map. Rim now, taking out the top tower. They're going to sacrifice the first dragon over to Zerance Bloom here.
Yeah, interesting that they just feel like they can't step up in that situation. To be fair, without the Ahri, that is going to be a lot of that non-committal engage we spoke about earlier missing. So instead, they get a good push going through the mid lane. That's going to be a nice wave underneath the mid lane tier 2 tower, and some decent damage, chunk damage taken out of this top lane tier 2. They're not actually going to be able to pick up these towers, don't really have the minion waves available to them right now, but it still buys a lot of space to be able to turn around, peel back, and potentially either pick up this Herald or even move over towards the Atakan if the opportunity presents itself.
See, Herald right now, it's on the sights here of G2 HEL. Dastardly objective that cost Zerance Bloom a fight a few minutes ago. And they look at Herald. They challenge the Herald, but they are seen, and so they decide against starting the Herald. But if they don't, they're going to lose a tier 2 for free. So they definitely need to do something. Sheena feels the panic. Sheena wants to pull the trigger. Gets stunned by Lori as Zerance Bloom find more time to kill for her mid laner to take this tier 2 tower. Too little, too late. Rim shows up, but this means that Zerance Bloom can try to pull the trigger topside somehow.
Yeah, they can push forwards, and indeed, they are going to push through the mid lane right here. If they can potentially pick up this tier 1 mid, it is just going to open up the map a lot. Unfortunately, it's still not going to be low enough, and in goes G2.
And with the Cyclone, they knock up the people from Zerance Bloom, but is it enough? There it is! The crescendo coming straight through. Sheena getting caught, still alive and kicking. Finally goes down. A lot of people are ticking red on the side of Zerance Bloom, but nobody's dying. Finally, they get the 1-for-1. No, they don't. There's 5 people alive, still healing, still taking so much time for G2 HEL to actually try to pull an action plan here. Zerance Bloom get away just slightly by losing the 1-for-1 trade. Cologne still wants more. Scatter the weak up against the wall. Cologne might have been a little bit more off than what she can chew, but she's still alive. Caldas is annihilating people, and she just executed Lily on the backside of that fight.
Nice. Kalthus wasn't there for the majority of that fight, and that's why G2 found themselves in quite a rough spot. A ton of their gold right now is going to be concentrated here onto the baby dragon in the bottom lane. Unfortunately, without the baby dragon in the area, it was a little bit rougher to play out, but the second that Kalthus arrives, everybody from Zerance Bloom just turns to the 4 corners, scatters away, tries to get out of the firing line. Still, a couple more kills do go over to Kalthus, and as much as it isn't a massively won fight for G2, they still pick themselves up a tower in the mid lane.
They did, and I feel like at this point in time, it's a little bit derogatory to call him a baby dragon. I got 7 and 1, dude.
Yeah, that's 3 items.
That's a
to be
senior
fair.
dragon,
Yeah,
if I've
yeah.
ever seen one.
He has grown
the
up
24
real
minute mark.
fast.
know.
Real fast, yeah. I mean, this is way ahead of pace, right? You're usually looking for your smolder to begin to hit stacks at about 25 minutes. That's now. Caltis was there ages ago at this point, and with those 3 items completed, that's brilliant. And this is what we were talking about during the early laning phase. We were like, hey, you can't really be giving Caltis a free laning phase, right, guys? Right? And
No, the
yeah,
Seraphine,
that's
no.
exactly what they did.
They talked about this in Champions Select, the Des did, and they were like, yeah, maybe Seraphine in the bot lane might not be a good idea. They're call it off. Sheena goes in, Cyclone's up. Lori, half HP.
Oh, it's a bad TP.
That teleport was a teleport of all times as Cultus is on the killing spree, and the main damage threat from Zerance Bloom has been eliminated. 2 people down, Opie and Lori in base as G2 HEL resume their business around Baron Nashor.
Oh, and they're potentially even going to look for a play right here. The tower is likely to fall. Zenith decides it better of stepping up into 3 members. Either way, you're still going to lose the Baron right here, and potentially the Atakan, right? You've got a window now where you know that Lily's down on the bottom side of the map. You just watched her chase Zenith around for a second, so this one's going to be picked up nice and easily as well. As much as G2 were already in the gold advantage, they've exploded into this game with such a big, just intangibles benefit right now from picking up this Atakan.
Yeah, no, these 2 back-to-back neutral objectives are a massive power swing over to G2 HEL. Not only in terms of stats from the Flowers, but also in terms of overall stats from Baron Nashor. So we're going to expect to see a big play here from G2 HEL, or a massive counterplay from Zerance Bloom. Wouldn't be the first.
Yeah, we need to see them pull a miracle out right now. You can see a couple of needlessly large rods in Marlowe's inventory. So once that's completed, you know, that's going to be a very, very strong Syndra. Could easily one-tap Caltis if she steps out of position. That's a potential way of doing it. We highlighted it earlier as well, right? Big Encore could potentially be a way to make these fights work, but we just haven't seen any evidence of it so far in this game.
No, and right now Mallow is mostly doing damage control here, trying to regain some space here for Zerance Bloom. Scatter the Weak mostly used defensively to avoid full-on engages from G2 HEL. And G2 HEL are just waiting for the cooldowns. They're just waiting for a window of opportunity where they can jump in freely and allow themselves to fight Zerance Bloom on their own terms. Close quarters fight inside the base of Zerance Bloom, going up to open space. If G2 HEL are closing the gap here. They're going straight for the jungle once again, playing it by the book, shuffling their efforts from mid to bot to make sure all of those minions are absolutely buffed. Top lane's being neglected, but that's normal, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, they're just going to push their way through this bottom lane at the moment. You can see the mid wave pouring in as well. And remember, these are 2 of the top teams that we've got here in Group A. Zerance Bloom, they really want to be able to pick themselves up a win right here up against G2 HEL. But so far, G2 HEL, they are showing why they are topping the table right now. They're showing why they're undefeated.
By the book, Lori wants to go in, but Sheena immediately cyclones her out. Lori and Opie now between a rock and a hard place as Zenith comes in and blows everybody up. Lily in the back, absolutely alone. They take out Cultist, but at what cost?
Yeah, you managed to pick up the key member of G2 HEL, but everybody else still alive and kicking with plenty of HP to be able to play with. That's going to be the bot lane inhibitor falling. Mid lane inhibitor has already gone down, and with supers in the base, this could well be the end.
It could be. G2 HEL have 4 members alive. They're just waiting for the cooldowns end of space. But in the meantime, it's the Nexus towers that take the brunt of the damage. Vicky scurrying off to base to try to heal some as both towers collapse. Nexus is exposed. Zenith is going straight for the objective. Zerance Bloom's trying to do something about it. But G2 HEL mark 1 for the undefeated team.
Oh boy, G2 HEL, they look like they have not lost a step since we last saw them last week. Undefeated, were just running through people. This week looked like it was going to be their hardest 2 tests, right? They've got Zerance Bloom, and then they've got Vitality Rising Bees. These are the 2 teams who are right next to them in the standings. They were 6-0. These other teams were 5-1. But at this point, it doesn't look particularly close. At least not versus Zerance Bloom. That game 1 was incredibly dominant here for G2 HEL.
It was such a, like, there was a point in the early game where you thought, all right, I mean, Zerance Bloom, they're definitely trying to pull no punches here. They're definitely going all in. but it felt like they ran out of gas super fast and super early in the game. Once a couple of fights went wrong, once the Camp Zenith didn't work out as well as they thought it would, and Cultists started getting big, they didn't know how to reshift their focus to more priority objectives, it felt like.
Absolutely, and I think part of that does stem from the draft. The desk did an excellent job of laying out ways in which this draft was potentially not going to work, and I feel like we saw almost every single one of them. Free Smolder lane, almost always going to be a bad idea, unless, of course, you've got something like the Senna across from it, and you're like, hey, we don't mind scaling, I'll be powerful in the late game too. In this situation, where you've got yourself the Seraphine, I don't
There
like
was
it
a
anywhere near
Jax.
as much. Yeah, like maybe if we saw that massive 5-man encore that lands through everybody, but we simply
And if Jax
didn't.
was ranged as well, and he could
Yeah,
damage from the safe
if
distance.
Jax could teleport into the backline, yeah, like there are ways that maybe this works, but it's not this world in which it does. So for Zerance Bloom, back to the drawing board, a different draft. It wasn't like they were getting massively outclassed fully just in the individual lanes. It wasn't like G2 were just able to completely take over in these side lanes as we've seen previously. There was fight back. Zenith did have a relatively tough early game, so there is a chance here for Zerance Bloom to be able to play back into this one. They just have to come into it with a draft that doesn't put them at a disadvantage from the start.
Exactly. So we're going to have to take a look at game 2 after a short break. G2 winning 1-0 against Zerance Bloom, but we will be right back with you guys for game number 2. So don't go anywhere. We'll catch you in a bit.